You're listening to the Northern Hunter Podcast, home of all things hunting, fishing, and outdoors in Alaska.
Hey guys, quick update just before we start the show. If you were looking to go into the Fairbanks AC Game and Trap Subcommittee meeting to discuss proposed changes to the regs for the interior region and beyond, the meeting has been moved from its original date and is now going to take place
April 6th
at the ADF&G conference room at 6 p.m. This meeting is not to implement proposals to the regs, but for them to meet with the public and figure out which proposals the subcommittee and the Fairbanks AC will be supporting at the actual board and game meeting later this year. The deadline for all proposals is May 1st, so even if you can't make it to the meeting, you've still got a little time. If you wish to submit any proposals to be discussed, follow the link in the show notes and get instructions and make your voice heard. Remember, the more people we get involved in the regulatory process, the more control we have over our own resources. So, enjoy the show. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. My name is James Payne, and I'll be your host, and I am joined here with my co-host, Dalton Gray.
Hello, how are you?
And Mariah Humphreys.
Good evening.
Evening. All right, guys, we are going to have a really cool episode for you today. We are talking about the most important aspect of any outdoorsman's lifestyle, and that is planning your summer.
Right.
For those of you up here already, you know this for a fact, but for those of you that aren't, we have very short summers here in Alaska.
Yes.
And you have to prioritize and utilize every second of it that you can, because otherwise you're going to be super excited for breakup season and really surprised when the snow hits and you didn't get anything done.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk to you about planning your hunts, prioritizing them, how to look at all the seasons and everything like that, and looking up logistics and which logistics you should focus on for particular kinds of hunts. So that's going to be really exciting. But before we get to that, we have a very exciting announcement for you.
Well, I have two exciting announcements, James. Yes.
Well, right. And
two exciting announcements.
So
Okay.
we have gotten 2 new sponsors. And I will let Dalton take that away.
Yeah, sponsors, affiliates, partners, whatever you want to label them as. The first one I want to talk about is Yukon River Knives. They are based out of Texas. They are run by a couple of local Texans. And I know what you're thinking. A company named Yukon River Knives run by Texans?
Because that's exactly what I was thinking when I first saw it.
Right. So I'll give it some backstory. Yukon River Knives is owned by 2 gentlemen, Ron and Jeremy. And Jeremy is a pastor down in Texas. And Ron is a little bit older gentleman who has been in the knife industry for a long, long time, very skilled into that trade. And they are friends with the family of my guide buddy, Remy, that I guide with on a regular basis. And he's been my hunting partner for the last number of years now. And Remington's dad is a pastor in Alaska. And Yukon River Knives was founded with the idea that a good portion of their profits go to support the missions work of Remy's dad.
Yep.
And so that was where the idea was born, and Jeremy and Ron have done a great job of bringing in some knives and made by a company here in the United States. I believe it's out of Michigan, I think is where the production takes place. And then Yukon River has 3 flagship models of knives. They have the Hunter, the Small Game, and the ATK, which stands for the Always There knife. And the Hunter is your very traditional style of blade, medium size, not too big, not too small. I wouldn't have any issues taking apart a moose with that knife whatsoever. I've actually used it on brown bears before and on some black-tailed deer as well, and it works great. They have micarta handles on the Hunter and the Small Game. And it has a very good finish to it. It's got a little bit of texture to it, but it feels like a nice hardwood handle in your hand. It's very ergonomically fitted, and they're very good quality steel knives. And one of the best parts about this company, aside from their mission, is the steel quality and the edge retention. Remy and I have both talked about for years how impressed we are with the edge retention of these Yukon River knives. And the Small Game is a little bit smaller version, obviously, than the Hunter. It's a little bit more compact, and Remy has used it quite a bit, and he even likes it equally as much as the Hunter.
Yep.
He's used it on caribou and brown bears as well, even for turning toes.
Yeah.
And the Always There knife is a skeletonized handle, and it is designed to fit in the rifle sling that Yukon River Knives also makes and sells. And it has a little knife sheath built into the rifle sling, so it's literally always there.
Yep.
If you're a hunter and you have a rifle, which you do,
Yeah.
then you always have your knife with your rifle, and it's actually a pretty handy little knife.
Yeah. I would say the blade looks really nice on that.
Yes. So we will be testing not testing them, but using them in the field. All three of us will be using them on multiple animals this year, I'm sure, and for years to come. And one of the nicest things about them is their price point.
Yeah.
These three knives come in at a very affordable price point when compared to other knives in the industry.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to point that out.
Especially U.S.-based companies.
If you're looking at a Benchmade or anything like that, I mean, you're going to be paying not anything more than that for these, and they're phenomenal.
Yes.
So
yes, most of the Benchmade and even another company that's really come onto the scene pretty strongly in the last couple of years has been Montana Knife Company. They make great knives too, and so does Benchmade. And I have knives from Benchmade, and they are high quality and they do work very well.
Yeah.
But they are. I don't think I've ever paid anything less than 30% more than the Hunter costs for a Benchmade knife.
Yep.
And some of them I've paid well over double what the Hunter costs.
It's not hard to do.
And these Yukon River knives, they're, like I said, they're built very, very well, high quality knife, great company to work with, and a great mission to support. So the Northern Hunter podcast will have a discount code that'll be live by this, but by the time this show comes out, we're preemptively recording this by a little bit. But the discount code will be the Northern Hunter, and just like we've been advertising for the last number of episodes about Ryan Lampers and Stealthy Hunter, using the same discount code at checkout, that'll apply a generous discount to your Yukon River knife order, and it'll also help support our show and allow us to keep doing what we're doing.
It helps support the show, and it really helps support this company.
Yes.
I mean, the one thing I like about this company is it just seems genuine.
Yes.
You know, I mean, when you're looking,
they're very real people.
In the hunting world, when you're looking at getting different equipment for different purposes, it's easy to get swamped up with these big companies and these big, industries, and kind of your knife is just another production that was, printed out, and you're whatever you're trying to buy. But this is like a legitimate, like real down to earth American shop, and they have a great mission. So
they have a good price, but what is the discount amount?
I believe it's going to be 15%.
15%,
which is a
very
lot
generous.
More than most discounts are going to get you anywhere else. So we are really happy to be working with them. Now, just to give listeners a reference we were talking about prices. The Hunter is only $180. And the small game is $150, and the ATK is only $100.
Yeah.
And I can tell you from personal experience and from watching Remington use these for the last number of years, they are worth every red penny that you're going to pay for these knives, and much more. They are great knives. Now, Yukon River also sells the Sendero Bush knife, the Sendero Classic, the Kitchen Camp Chef knife, the processing knife, the Green River Skinner, which is more of like a fleshing blade that I will be using this year for brown bears for sure, the Companion knife, and they also have a Mini Ulu. They sell the ATK rifle sling that will go well with your ATK knife.
Yep.
And that sling is $150. Really, really high quality leather rifle sling. And then they have a couple of axes and hatchets available as well. And they sell a diamond single fold sharpener, which is what I use in the field to resharpen my blades while on a hunt. So go check out Yukon River Knives, YRK, at their website.
They've got a really cool looking knife poster. We got to get one of those for the studio.
Yes, they have a knife poster that we'll be adding to our decor.
Yep, and that is yukonriverknives.com.
Correct.
Straight up.
And if you just type that into your web browser, they'll be the first result to come up.
Yep.
And
I'll put a link in the description.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, at checkout, to get that discount through the show, just use the promo code The Northern Hunter. No caps, no space.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you'll get that discount code.
Now, this other one,
Yes.
I am very excited for
The
this
other one, I have been
because-
working with this company for years.
And I have been using this company for years.
Yeah.
So,
This is a company that has aided in the taking of hundreds and hundreds of bears
Yes.
across the
Yeah.
United States,
yep.
but especially Alaska.
And we've all
We've all killed bears
all
using
killed
these
bears. Yeah.
products. Multiple bears.
Yeah.
And the company is Batum 907 Lures and Attractants.
Yep.
We are really excited for this one. I don't know if we've mentioned too much on the podcast. We haven't really done a bear baiting episode. That'll be coming up
Yeah.
soon
Oh,
here.
yeah.
And then most of our spring episodes are going to be, really every episode is going to have a weekly recap and update of
some
our current
aspect
bear
of bear
baits.
baiting in it.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
we
Yeah.
are all obsessed with
We
it.
all live for spring bear baiting.
Yeah.
So Batum 907, if you look up just Batum 907 bear attractants, that's the website that comes up. And Jess lives in Alaska, and I have talked with her for years. She has sent me a lot of stuff to test out, been very generous, and has always been very helpful. And she experiments a lot with a lot of different products.
Mhm.
mm-hmm.
Well, the
Uh,
other thing that's cool is she works with local hunters too.
Yes.
To like figure
Yes.
out with them exactly what works.
Yes,
Adding more
she's
things.
worked in great extent with Tyler Friel, doing a lot of
Mhm.
testing through him. I've used a lot of her stuff. My personal favorite scent that she makes
I was going to say, what is your favorite?
Nasty Boar.
I love that stuff.
Nasty Boar makes you want to throw up. It makes you want to throw up when you open the can of it,
Yeah.
but it flat out works.
I was just say I love it for how it works.
Yes.
But man, if that stuff doesn't chap your lips, man.
It makes your
brother,
eyes
it
water,
is-
chaps your lips, it makes your
It is
throat dry.
strong.
It is nasty. It's very similar smelling, but much stronger than the trapping lure called
Mhm.
Magnum Martin,
Okay.
is what I have found.
Yeah.
It is no, not Magnum Martin, Gusto.
I was
maybe.
say, I thought you were going to say Gusto.
I
and
think
then
it's
you're like-
Gusto,
then you said
yes.
Magnum Martin, and I'm going,
I got that wrong. I think it's Gusto because I was walking through Frontier Outfitters not too
Mhm.
long ago, and I walked by an aisle that had some products on it for
Yeah.
trapping, and I thought, "Ooh, do I smell Nasty Boar?" And I walked over there and I picked up a jar, and I think it was Gusto.
I don't know if they had Gusto. Gusto's pretty strong. I wouldn't see them having that in
Well,
the store.
Whatever it was some kind of a trapping lure. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's that type of really, really potently strong
Actually,
lure.
the funny thing about Nasty Boar, so I was down in Wasilla at one point,
Mhm.
several years ago now, and I went to Screaming Eagle,
Yeah.
the store they have down there, and they're
The archery store.
They're a distributor, and so I went in there just to grab some stuff on my way home.
Yeah.
And I grabbed up, some anise and some, a couple other things, and some sow urine. And man, I walked up and I'm like, man, you guys don't have any Nasty Boar, and they're like, they got these big eyes. They're like, you want Nasty Boar? And I was like, I would love some Nasty Boar.
I'm
And they're
here
like,
for the good stuff.
They're like, hold on, we got to go outside. Like they literally stored it outside in a Connex because
Yeah.
they didn't want it in their store. It's that strong.
My
So,
first experience with Nasty Boar, Jess sent me a package. Well, she sent me a box several years ago now. And inside this box was several, about gallon size, I guess, and they were sealed, non-see-through, like foil type material
Yep.
with a Ziploc, and then they were sealed on the top. And inside was a small canister of something. And I had this in my house. And I thought, well, I wonder what's in this bag that's unmarked.
No.
And I opened it up. I didn't open the jar.
Yeah.
I just opened up the bag that contained said jar.
Yo.
And my entire house smelled like Nasty Boar for 10 days.
So don't open it in your
My
house.
wife
people.
got home later on that evening and she was absolutely floored. And she said, "Why does my house smell like this? What is that smell? Did the toilet back up?" It was a terrible smell. And
So-
I said, "No, I didn't know what it was."
Yeah.
And then after that, I would take that out to the bear bait, but then to store it, because I didn't use an entire jar at once,
Mhm.
obviously,
'Cause you don't need to.
And this was a nasty boar paste, I should say.
Yeah.
This comes in a little glass jar.
Yeah, I believe she has the bait balls that you hang up in the trees. She
Yes.
has the spray and the paste.
Well, and she has like the little crystals that you can get in the
and that varies
1
per
pound
year
bags.
depending on what year it is. Sometimes she does
Yeah.
the paste, sometimes she doesn't. But I know that typically those are the
So that paste, I would take it into the bear bait and then
Mhm.
freshen it up with a nice little stick and just put a little twig in there, mix it
Yeah.
up, and then put some of that paste up on a tree somewhere just to get
Mhm.
that scent in the area. And that's all you need. You just need a little bit.
yeah.
And I would, I want to take this stuff home, right? So I put it in a Ziploc bag and just threw it in the bed of my truck.
Yeah.
And I would get out in the morning to go to work every day, and my entire yard just smelled like nasty boar. So I tried and tried and tried to put that inside of something that it wouldn't smell through,
Mhm.
and I couldn't do it. My record, I got up to 10 Ziploc bags. Ziploc bag inside of Ziploc bag inside of Ziploc bag, and it still stunk like nasty boar.
Yep.
And it stunk so bad that if you even touched the Ziploc bags without gloves on, your hands smelled like nasty boar. So it works, people.
Yeah.
But that scent, it works awesome. It overpowers your bait.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times I've had bears that are tentative about coming in,
Mhm.
and I freshen it up with nasty boar, and they show back up, and they just zip right in on a beeline. And it works awesome.
Well, and I'm going to bounce off of that, and kind of the other end of it is the black bear sow and heat
Yes.
works really well as
Yes.
well. It comes in it's a little jar, or a big jar. She has 2 sizes, but it's the same concept. It's just a sealed jar, and you take it out there, and it comes in little gel pellets, basically.
Yeah.
And you just take yourself a stick and you just kind of spread it around at the base of a tree and around the base of the barrel and everything like that. And that I've seen that bring them in on a string too.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll take a bait, especially once you get into later season.
And she makes
when
she makes that sow and heat also in that 1 pound bag of crystals.
Yeah,
It's like a
yep.
sugary type substance that you can just spread all over the ground,
Yep.
and the bears track it through the woods, and that helps
Exactly.
bring other bears back in.
Yep, and they love that stuff, man. The other thing I'll say is her bait balls
Yes.
last the longest out of any brand
They're
I have
really
tried.
good, yeah.
One,
Yeah.
they smell the best,
Yeah.
and two, I mean, as far as like actually lasting, she actually uses good string on them, not like
Mhm.
that cheap little
Yeah.
string. She has like good twine
Yeah.
that goes on there.
Hefty.
They don't just wash away in the rain. They
Yep.
don't, I mean, they last very long.
And for folks that aren't aware of what these scent balls are, is what we just call them. A lot of times I just call them yo-yos.
Mhm.
So if you
she
imagine,
has the big ones too.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. She has like it looks like an oversized wax ball.
Yeah.
It's probably 10 inches around,
Something like
like
that,
that.
yeah.
And that just hangs off of a string that you can hang up in a tree.
Yep.
I use the yo-yos a lot because I can just
They're
throw
like
them.
smaller
I
and
can
lighter.
throw them all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
But those, if you imagine like something, if you were to cut a tennis ball in half,
Mm-hmm.
it's 2 of those on either end of a string, probably 10 inches long.
Something like that.
And you take them out of the bag and you have them both in your hand, and you just throw them up into a tree, and they wrap themselves around a branch or something like that.
Yeah.
And then that, obviously that scent gets blown around in the breeze, and when it rains, it doesn't kill the scent.
Yeah.
The water drips off of those yo-yo ends,
Mm-hmm.
and the water drips down into the dirt, and the
Mhm.
bears eat the dirt.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have seen them
They love
tear
it.
that dirt apart.
And I have thrown yo-yos in trees that the trees didn't end up faring so well
Yeah.
because the bears got to it. I've had bears rip trees down
Yeah.
to get to the yo-yos.
We were just looking at a picture before
Yeah.
we started
Yeah.
the podcast of a tree that was torn down.
You know what?
Quick side note, the funniest thing I ever saw was a squirrel running off with a yo-yo sticking out
I
of
was
his mouth.
just
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
say
Last year-
we should. I don't know if you still have that video, but
I might.
that thing was falling all over the place.
There was a tiny little red squirrel that had come into the bait. And obviously, there's always going to be squirrels on bear baits, at least that we have.
Yo.
And this squirrel had gone up there and knocked the yo-yos out of the tree, and I think he'd chewed through the string or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he had one of them up in his mouth, and he was trying to stumble his way through the trees. And you can't help but make commentary about this
Right.
while you're in the tree stand, just bored, waiting for a bear to come in. And I said, can you imagine when he gets that thing down in his little den and a bear finds it? He's going to have his whole house excavated by a
Poor
bear.
squirrel,
The
man.
poor squirrel doesn't know what he's doing.
Oh,
So,
that was hilarious.
I was going to say the kind of the stuff from Batum 907 that I really like. I love the products you guys talked about.
yeah.
What you haven't talked about yet is like the sprays and the
Yes.
berry smells and a lot of
Oh,
the sweet.
yeah.
Like you mentioned the anise.
Yeah.
And getting those in like the spray and the can of the gel.
Yeah.
Or
Yep.
like
Paste. Yeah.
paste or
Yeah.
it's kind of more of it's almost like a wax. It's pretty thick.
Yeah.
You kind of got to warm it up sometimes, but to get it out. But
Yeah. Are you talking about the tar?
yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
The tar.
the bear tar.
Yeah, the bear
Yeah.
tar. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And
that
that's-
stuff's awesome.
I love
That's
that
really
stuff
good,
for the early baits because that's what they're looking for
Mhm.
early in the spring, and it gets those
Mhm.
really sweet. You know, she's got the blueberry and the.
She's
I
got
don't remember what all the smells are, but-
frostbite, I think.
Is that a new one?
I mean, she's got like
It's
15 different.
it's new as of a couple
Yeah.
of years ago.
It's been a few years since
Um,
I've bear baited a lot.
I'll
so.
look. But anyway, though, yeah. So we are partnered with Batum 907. We don't have a discount code through them, but we are partnered with that company, and we are really excited for that. Let's see here, bear tar in a quart. I'm going to look at these
35
options here.
different flavors of spray.
Frostbite, yeah, that's
There's
the one
definitely
that I
more than
used.
when I used it.
Yeah, Frostbite is the scent that I used in that tar
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, and the bears loved it.
Anise,
I killed a big bear. I killed a really big black bear
Yeah.
over a bait that I used that on.
anise, apple jacks, bacon, bear claw,
The
beaver
estrus-
castor, blueberry.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
cherry, cotton
Beaver
candy,
castor is really, really good.
cupcake addiction, final dessert. Yeah, there's frostbite, fruity rubble, huckleberry. I mean,
Yeah.
anything. My wife, and probably because she's from Michigan, but she really loves the Michigan mash,
Yeah.
and
That's
it works.
That's a really
it
good
works
scent.
too. Yeah.
I've used that one with
Molasses
success
cookie,
as well.
natural honey. Man, there's everything you can think of in here.
Now the one that
So-
she actually collabed, not collabed, but Tyler Friel helped her develop this particular one, and this is one of my favorites too. It's estrus powder. It's that little crystal,
Mhm.
and it's a very unique name.
I was debating on bringing it up.
It's called stripper glitter.
Yeah.
It does work. I used a couple of pounds of that powder at the bait last year,
Yeah.
where I shot that
Yeah.
monster boar off of it.
Yeah.
You don't have to have just one scent in a bear bait.
Oh, absolutely. not.
I run at least 3 or 4 different ones at every bait. It
Yeah.
just, I've had good luck with all of them so far. I haven't
Yeah.
found one that doesn't work, but my
Yeah.
favorite is by far Nasty Boar.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to touch on really quick before we move on from this is the burn formulas.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people don't know about burn formulas for a bear bait.
Mhm.
You can use like a little sterno stove
Yep.
type of a fuel and just put a coffee can on top
Yep.
of an old sterno stove
That's
fuel.
exactly what I do.
And you don't want to light the forest on fire.
Mhm.
Be responsible with that. But my favorite burn formula is Cupcake Addiction.
Yeah.
That has killed a couple of bears for me, or
Mhm.
brought them in for
Yeah.
Right.
for me to do the shooting. And so the burn formula is basically as it heats that burn formula up that comes in a little bottle.
It's like a syrup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very syrupy compound, and it just simmers it,
Yep.
and it just you get like a little bit of a mist or a steam coming out of that coffee can. And then when you're done, if you haven't burned it all up, if you're going to leave for the night, then you just take that can over to the bait and dump it on the food.
Yeah, exactly.
they like it just fine.
And
So
and honestly, that can be a huge game changer.
and
if
she
you're
does
sitting-
sell sterno folding stoves too.
Yeah, if you're sitting on a bait that you know there's bears in the area, but you just can't get them to come in. I mean, running a burn like that, especially one of those like the Cupcake Addiction, or she has bacon scented ones and all
Mhm.
kinds of different stuff. That can flip the switch. Honestly, that'll
Yeah.
bring them in.
If you have a bear that's being tentative about wanting to come in, and he's hemming and hawing, a lot of times I've had it where if I have a bear that's, like I said, he's not
Yeah.
real sure about something, he can smell you, he smells something's not right, or he saw you.
Yeah,
I have literally had bears bust me, run out, and then circle the bait for over an hour, and then I light up a burn formula. And this particular one I'm talking about, 10 minutes after I lit it up, came
Mhm.
straight into the bait, and I shot him.
Yeah.
So
And it's kind of an improvement. If you've talked to old time bear baiters, a lot of times they would use honey or things like that,
Honey or bacon.
Yeah.
things like
And those were
yeah.
always really good too.
always
Yeah.
really good. And this is just kind
but
of
these work better.
one. It's a little bit of an improved formula. You can get more scents and more variations, but the other thing is it's a little bit more, I guess, packable.
But yeah,
it comes
it's
in a
designed
nice-
to comes in what, a bottle or something?
Yep, little. I
I
think it's a
have to,
16-ounce bottle, and it's advertised to burn for. I want to say it's like 8 hours or some crazy.
Oh boy.
Like,
So what you do is you
it's
fry
longer-
your bacon,
It's longer
eat
than
your
the
bacon,
sterno. It's
and
longer
then
than
you get the
sterno
bacon
goes for.
smell from 907 and put on there.
Yeah.
Or mix and match.
I have to correct myself. I said that she sells sterno stoves. She does not. She had a picture of them in one of the ads for
okay.
the burn formulas, and
Yeah.
I spoke too soon. But anyway, so yeah, go check out the Batum 907 attractants from the local Alaska company and order what you need for your bear bait.
Yep.
Now is when you need to be ordering products for baiting season, folks.
We'll obviously have a link in the description, but it's
Yes.
Batum907.com. That's bait as in a
Mhm.
bear bait. EM907.com.
Yep.
And go buy whatever you need.
Yes.
So we have a discount code with Stealthy Hunter. We have a discount code with Yukon River Knives,
Mm-hmm.
and we are sponsored by.
Batum
Yes,
907.
Batum 907.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, we
They're
are really
so
excited.
good. We don't. You don't even need a discount code to buy them.
No.
Well, and again, it kind of goes back to like with Yukon River Knives, being a good down to earth
Yes.
American company. I mean,
Yes.
it's not a big production.
Right.
It's not something that's mass produced in some other state. It's made in Alaska
Well,
by
that-
Alaskans.
Yeah,
and it's-
I was actually wanting to park on this just for a minute about our podcast has done better than I think any of us had projected.
Oh, sure.
a couple of months ago.
Probably.
Yeah.
We have grown a lot faster and gained a lot of listeners, and it keeps on growing. And we
Mhm.
can't say thank you enough
Oh yeah.
to all of you listeners
Yeah.
out there,
We love
right.
you guys.
and all
man.
the support and the feedback that we get.
Yep.
And so, I have reached out to these companies for partnerships and
Mhm.
affiliates
hmm
that we share values with.
Yeah.
And it's important to direct our listeners to companies that are like-minded with us.
Right.
And these companies, and really, I'm going to go ahead and say, any company that we partner with, it's not just we're partnering up with people just because we want income or
Right.
to be recognized or to try to grow our brand just because they're popular. There
That'll come.
are
Yeah.
there are popular brands out there that we won't partner with because we don't share
Right.
values with
Right.
them.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
even if they make a good product, if the company isn't up to par with what we want to be associated
Yeah.
with, then we're not going to partner with them.
Exactly.
So any company that we partner with, you can have confidence that they are good folks. They're
Yeah.
trying to do the right thing, and they make high quality products that we stand behind.
Yep.
We
Right.
use their stuff.
Yeah.
We're not going to partner with somebody that we don't use their stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, just kind of a short spiel about that. So
No, that's
we are really excited for these companies, and we have some more things in the works that we'll announce here in the next few episodes.
yeah. Once it
And,
comes to fruition.
yes.
You know,
But
while we're on the subject of how good the podcast is doing, I just wanted to say thanks for those who have left reviews.
Oh,
Who
yeah.
have left thrown some stars up there. If you're listening, and I know there's a lot of people who do listen who haven't given a review or given a rating because there's
Mhm.
not that many ratings. I saw like 15 on Spotify, which is cool. We got 15 5-star ratings
Yeah.
on Spotify.
Sure. Sure.
Nothing less, so that's
Yeah.
good. But it really, the way that podcasts are put into algorithms and like what pops up for people that they don't listen to.
Mhm.
Like if people listen to hunting podcasts, ours isn't necessarily going to pop up based upon listens it gets. That sounds crazy, but it really a huge thing, especially on Apple Podcasts,
Yeah.
is the number of 5-star ratings.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
so the more it can get, it's not that hard to do. Jump on there. It'd be great if you would. You don't have to.
Yeah.
We're not going to be mad at you if you
But
don't.
it would help us out tremendously.
All you got to do is hit the 5-star button. Even better if you want to leave a comment on why you like us, or
Yeah.
hey, if you had a
absolutely.
problem with us, let us know.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
But-
that'll help a lot more people find the show. It'll help a lot more people
Yeah.
get.
And
Get the
another
information they
great way
need.
that we would appreciate is share it with your friends. You
Oh,
know,
absolutely.
Of
Yeah.
all of our listeners, a lot of folks have reached out and said that they love the show and they've told all their friends about it. We
Yep.
appreciate that.
Mhm.
Keep doing that.
Word of mouth is very powerful.
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, folks. We all know that one of the most common mishaps in hunting is damage to your rifle scope.
Last year, I found the solution to that problem with the Stealthy Hunter rifle cover. It wraps around your scope and action securely to protect it from getting knocked off of zero or even severely damaged. Stealthy Hunter also has a glassing pad and a wide variety of supplements for the outdoorsman, such as protein powder, CBD products, turmeric, and gut health supplements. They also make a lightweight trauma kit weighing in at just 14 ounces that includes everything you need and nothing you don't for all of your backcountry medical emergencies. To shop all of their equipment and supplements, go to stealthyhunter.com and enter the discount code at checkout, The Northern Hunter, to save on your order today. All Stealthy Hunter equipment is proudly made in the USA.
I think we've arrived at the main topic.
Planning.
Planning. So everybody probably knows that guy that comes into every single summertime with all the big dreams.
Well, even just springtime.
Or springtime. And, I'm going to get out and do this. And, this is the year.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how my bear baiting went last year.
Well, you were building a house too, so that's a little bit of an excuse.
There's so many excuses, but
I mean, building your own house is kind of high on that list.
yeah.
But
Roof over your family's head or bear baiting? It's a tough choice, I know.
well, I managed to accomplish both. I didn't kill any bears though, so
you saw a couple though.
Did see some.
Yeah,
you had some good encounters.
Some good ones.
2 baits with bears, just nothing I could kill or was there to kill. And,
Yeah. But anyway, so, planning your year out successfully is probably, I'm going to say, one of the most important aspects you can do.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if you buy all the right guns, if you buy all the right backpacks and clothes. It doesn't matter if you have all the right plans and you go in your maps and you make all these pins and you have all these spots. If you don't actually go, it doesn't matter.
Right.
And so knowing how and when to sit down and actually put it on paper, put it in your calendar, set reminders.
Yeah.
Because summer comes and goes here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's breakup season and then bear baiting. And then next thing you know, the snow's flying.
Then it's time to button up for October.
Yeah. And if you don't have a solid plan.
And then by Halloween, it's 25 below.
Right.
Wow. What happened in September?
Did you get a moose this year? Well, didn't
what
end up
if
going,
I went hunting? Yeah.
So, so with that, I'm going to say the very first most important aspect is get a calendar. And when I say that, I'm not talking about using your phone. I'm not even talking about using your laptop. I mean, go out and buy yourself a paper calendar because, and I'm going to explain why. I'm getting some weird looks here. So one, for all you young bucks out there, you might actually be able to use the digital calendars a little bit easier. But for us elder millennials, it's not that easy.
There's one elder millennial and
elder millennial.
So, but the reason I say to use paper is because one, it allows you to multitask a little bit easier. You can have your calendar right there. It's easier to flip through the pages. You can see the dates a little bit easier. But two, you're using your laptop or your phone to look at the regs. You're looking at, units. You have your maps pulled up. And rather than bounce back and forth between the two, you can actually look at them side by side.
Right.
That's a big plus for me. I really try.
Mariah is pulling out his phone.
Mo has the fold open phone.
So this phone that you said that nobody uses or wants.
I didn't say nobody uses or wants.
That's kind of what you implied, though.
I said it takes crappy pictures.
Actually, it takes great pictures. But,
I'm sure it does.
You just can't send them to anybody.
Yeah. Can you airdrop those to me? No.
No, because I don't use a phone that's locked up by a communist company. But
ooh, shots fired.
Back to the calendar. Back to the calendar.
But anyway, it is very important to write these things down. And once you get them written down on the paper calendar, I'm not saying use that throughout the year. You can then transfer that information over, but it allows you to see where things overlap, to pencil things in and erase them as needed. And you can set reminders because Alaskans don't sleep in the summer.
Yeah.
We sleep in the winter.
Yep.
Right.
And once you're go, that it's so easy to have a weekend come and go doing something else, especially when the rest of life starts getting in the way. You know,
Yeah.
you've got your job, especially if you work construction in this state, because the building season is the same as the hunting season.
Yeah.
You know, you've got family things that are going on, which obviously take, you know, some priority. But, you know, you've got, you know, just any number of things that can get in the way of your hunting. And if you're not setting up for your next adventure at the proper amount of time, then that time come and goes, you know, and you might end up at the opener of sheep season without having actually done your scouting because you just ended up getting busy and, oh man, I meant to go out this weekend, but I couldn't, you know?
Yeah.
So same with fishing and everything else. So step one, get a calendar, get the regs book.
Yeah.
Get a map system, whether it's Onyx or Go Hunt or anything like that. Something you can look at not only where you're going to be, but have access to which unit it's in, you know, the trails that are in the area, things like that. And just sit down and dedicate an amount of time this time of year, you know, and preferably before this, honestly. This is kind of coming out a little bit late for what this is, but we've just been talking about other stuff. And that's honestly step number one, is just prioritizing the fact that you need to put it on paper and make a plan.
Yeah.
Something else that goes along with that, and we don't have it on the list here, but is you mentioned getting on maps, right? You know, and Dalton and I both used to use Google Earth before, you know, Onyx was a thing, right? And you know, we would figure out a way to keep it. It would like download it, but if we didn't close it, it would still be available. Right?
Oh, right.
But what you can do now is get Onyx or Go Hunt, whichever you prefer, and you can, you know, pay the subscription, even if it's the cheapest one. You can use the maps then, right?
Yeah.
When you're planning your hunt, obviously you need your pins and all the e-scouting stuff. We're not going to get into that today, but with the calendar, obviously location, but not just that. Download the areas you're going to hunt.
Yeah.
Just get them downloaded.
Yep.
Because next thing you know, you're going to be sitting in your truck with hardly any cell service, trying to download these maps.
On one bar.
While on your way to your spot.
Right.
Thinking, oh no, I don't have anything downloaded for this area.
Hoping it downloads, you know.
And for those that don't know what he's talking about, that haven't used one of these mapping apps, when you're looking at it on your couch, it looks great. It's crisp. You can see all the rivers and the trees and the, you know.
Right.
When you get out there, if you haven't downloaded that, and I know Onyx allows you to download like 5 mile wide areas, 10 mile wide areas, and I think it jumps all the way up to 150
for
miles.
like a low res large area.
And each one gets lower resolution. But if you get out there and you don't have them downloaded, all you're going to see is like brown and gray blotches.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to be anything you can
And green.
use. And green.
Yeah.
Gray, green, brown, all of it. Yeah.
Right.
But anyway.
That I just wanted to point that out. Like, and what I usually do is I download, if I know my specific location, I download the high res, the 5 mile or whatever it is. I don't remember what Go Hunts is. They've got like low, high res, whatever it is. But I download the high res in the areas where I think I might want to ever go, whether on foot or on my wheeler or whatever. I think I might step foot there. Small chance, that plus some more.
Yeah.
And then I always grab a large area, like the 100 mile on Onyx. I'll just grab that whole thing. That way, if I go outside that area, I have at least an idea of where the rivers are running, and I might be able to make out a little bit of a trail or something, or a hill.
Exactly.
And then I'll have like the, you know, the hybrid with where you've got your topo lines overlaid. You'll have that too.
Exactly.
Right? Anyway.
Yes, that's a great point. You know, I think we've all been there, where we're on our way out of town to go somewhere, either for bear baiting or whatever. And you know, moose hunting, sheep hunting, whatever it is, and you get an hour out of Fairbanks, you start to lose cell service, and you go, I don't have anything downloaded, and then you pull over on the side of the road, and you've got 1 bar of LTE,
and you sit there for an hour trying to get the stupid map to download.
and you sit there for a half hour or longer trying to download your maps.
Funny story, I was actually flying out to a hunt at one point, and that hit me, and I went, you know, that deep, you know, like I don't have these downloaded, and I'm about to get dropped off here. And we hit a pocket of service while flying, and it was just enough. I was able to get that 5 mile. I just centered it on my pins, and I just downloaded it, and like it barely.
That's a crazy thing too, because I've spent many hours e-scouting an area, right? Just poring over the maps before bed when I should be sleeping and all that stuff, right? And then
it's the best time for it.
And then I spend those hours and hours and hours. but it never crosses my mind to download till.
Yep, exactly.
Right. Or better yet, if you use your laptop for your e-scouting, which I recommend.
Oh, it's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It's way better than your phone.
Yep.
And you look at it on your laptop and you're like, all right, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. You're using 3D on your laptop.
Yeah.
And it all looks great. And then you get out there and you get out into your area and you want to pull up your maps and look at it. And I didn't look at it on my phone and download it. Yeah.
Yep.
I think
can you download it? Like, let's say if you go on the Go Hunt desktop, can you download an area that will then show up on your app?
I don't think so. That has to download to your phone
through the link.
No, it's got to be downloaded to your phone.
It's got to be to your phone.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't know if it was to your account or to your actual phone.
It'd be cool if they let you download on your computer, but I don't think they have something like that. So
yeah, because I know it saves your downloads, but I didn't know if it. Yeah.
It just saves them so you can download them later. Yeah.
That's why Mo's the tech.
I like the idea of using the actual calendar. I'm not against that. I am old school in a lot of ways. I have expressed that in a few different ways on this podcast. I'm a little bit set in my ways, and as far as a calendar goes, I think that's a good idea. Just something really that you see every day when you walk by it in your living room or on your refrigerator. And you have hunts marked off, and this weekend is for this, and next weekend is for that.
Well, and don't get me wrong, I highly recommend transferring it all to the calendar on your phone.
Yeah.
Because then you can set reminders for 3 weeks in advance. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to be going dip netting on this weekend with your friends, you can get a reminder 3 weeks in advance that, I need to start getting all my waders out. I need to get my nets out. I need to make sure I don't have any holes in them. I need to make sure I've got,
check my waders for holes.
My trucks got good maintenance on it.
Well, and that's another thing too, is a lot of guys that use their vehicles for access and use their four-wheelers and whatnot, whether it's your truck or your four-wheeler or your side-by-side or your Argo or whatever tool you use to get into your area. Now's the time of year when you need to be really looking through all that stuff and making sure it's all in good tip-top running order so that you don't break down on the way to, or even better yet, during the work week before you head out.
Right.
You can't even start to get out somewhere.
Yeah, I've got to pull my wheeler in the shop here soon and go through it because I had some issues with it last moose season, and I don't want to have that when I'm sitting at the bear bait. Or trying to get to the bear bait.
Get there, You get halfway there, and then you're stuck, and now you're a mobile bear bait.
Yeah.
Or trying to leave.
And you're still going to go in because, you're committed at that point.
Yeah.
But
You
ain't turning back.
The wheeler's sitting there. I'm walking.
The wheeler's going to stay. Yeah. Eat it up, bears. Eat it up.
But the perk of using the actual calendar is that as you're planning, you're not bouncing back and forth between apps. You're not.
You have a nice visual.
You have a nice visual. It's right there next to you, and you can just write it out with a pencil. And if something doesn't work out, let's say you have some overlapping plans, you can just erase it out of there, and you're good to go. And then once you get the finalized, beautiful, wonderful version, then you transfer that onto your phone.
It's funny because I've heard of a lot of people say, get a paper calendar for a lot of things, right? And I've tried.
Yeah.
I never look back at it. I never even hardly take the time to look at it. And you know what I do? And it's, everybody's different, but for me, it's kind of, and this may sound crazy, but it's never really led me wrong on anything that was important.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a calendar in my head. Once I've looked at dates and think about something, it's kind of locked in. It's prioritized for that point in my. I'm thinking about that. I'll pull out my phone calendar to look at dates and be like, okay, on that date I'm doing this, so by this time I need to do that.
Some minds work that way.
I am that same way. That's why even on my phone calendar, I have stuff that we were talking hunting plans for this year just in the last couple hours. We've been sitting here getting ready for this show. And I don't have anything marked down.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that I shouldn't get a calendar just to have in the kitchen to look at as I walk by it and then add new things and subtract other things.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't be a bad idea just for like a refresher for things that are way out there. But once it gets inside that month, I know what I'm doing and I know what days I'm doing.
Yeah.
And maybe we're just, young and everybody's and the old guys are listening to us.
And I'm
not so old guys are listening to us going, yeah, just wait till you turn my age. Is that what you're thinking, James?
Just wait till you cross 30, man. It's
and I'm not saying that my mind is a steel trap and nothing's getting out of there. My mind is a rusty old nasty trap that's so cluttered up with so many plans.
I'm not saying use it to actually remind you of the hunt. I'm saying for the planning phase.
Yes.
It's important.
Yes. For the planning, I agree.
Yeah. However you remember it is how you remember it. But to actually get it in,
and
get it Because you can think about your calendar in your head, but well, maybe you guys know, but I don't know which months have 31 days and which ones don't.
I do.
I'm sure you do, but school was a long time ago for me, brother.
Well, it was long enough ago for me too, but anyway, I think this kind of leads into our next point.
It does.
And that's how to prioritize hunts.
Prioritizing.
And a lot of people out there, they work a 9-to-5 job. We all do.
Yep. Sometimes more than that.
In one variant or another. Yeah, 9 to 5 is just
7 to 6.
Yeah, 9 to 5 is just the affectionate term we call it.
Yeah.
Right. To make us feel like we're not tied down to it.
Say it's not unheard of in Alaska, especially in construction with the construction season like you were talking about to work.
7/12.
60, 70, 80 hours.
6-10 is the average, I would say.
But then you turn around in the wintertime, that same job, the same boss will have a hard time giving you 30.
Yep, exactly.
Yep, exactly.
Yep,
you got to make hay while the sun shines.
Yep.
But so anyway, prioritizing hunts.
Mm-hmm.
With that in mind, a lot of people that have day jobs, most of our listeners do.
Yeah.
There are very few people that have the ability to just take time off whenever they need to, and they have a finite amount of time off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to think about, well, if I only have 2 or 3 weeks of time off every year, and I'm going to save that for spring and fall.
Yep.
Most folks can bear bait inside the bounds of their work schedule.
Yeah.
Whether it's just evenings and weekends, or even if they work 6 days a week, they'll run out to the baits on Sundays.
Right. And it's easy enough to do a 2-hour drive after a long day, go out, check the bait, drop off some dog food or whatever, and hightail it back home.
And 2 hours is a very general term. We're not saying that our baits are 2 hours away.
Right.
Just wanted to throw that out there.
I wish.
Yeah.
No, my bait's about 10 hours.
Easy.
My bait's about 10 hours out of town.
Yeah.
Yeah, right before Prudhoe up there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the best spot to bear bait, man.
Oh, yeah.
No trees, no nothing.
No.
Yeah, I love killing those polar bears.
You can see them coming a mile away.
Yeah.
That's satire, folks.
Yes.
For those of you that were about to dial the numbers. Yeah.
No, we do not sit on the pipeline and shoot polar bears.
Other places, but not the pipeline.
No, we do not shoot polar bears.
Nope. I've never actually seen a polar bear in real life. So
Really? As much time as you spent up there?
No, there's not a lot of polar bears in that area, actually. Once in a while, they see grizzlies.
Yeah.
Grizzlies
I knew there were a lot of grizzlies up there.
Further along the western side, they see a lot more polar bears.
Yeah.
Further up. But, I wasn't in Prudhoe, I was in Dead Horse.
Gotcha,
And that's a little bit inland from the ocean, actually. So
I was, for work, I had to go out to Point Hope. Yep. And there was a part of me that was really hoping I'd see one, or at least a couple when I was out there. I was like, man, it's wide open. It's flat. We're flying in.
Just sea ice.
Yeah.
They spend most of their time out on the ice, and once in a while they'll wander their way into the village where there might be some food if they can't find seals or something. But,
So anyway, prioritizing hunts.
Yes.
If you have a finite amount of time off, which most folks do, you got to figure out in the fall, what do I want to spend my precious time off doing?
Yep.
And if you're a moose hunter, then you're likely going to spend that moose hunting.
Yep.
If you prioritize a sheep hunt, then you're likely going to spend a lot of your time off going on your sheep hunt.
Yep.
And you need to plan that well ahead of time and have that in mind and not overschedule yourself, to be honest.
Well, and understanding the time each hunt will take is a big thing. I mean, you don't want to be scheduling a sheep hunt on a 4-day weekend.
No.
You can.
Good
it's
luck.
just not necessarily the best idea.
Yeah.
You want to be out there for a week. So if you only have 2 weeks of vacation a year, and some people aren't even that lucky, you've really got to think about how to spread that out and make it count for everything it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing with prioritizing is figuring out what is important to you in your hunting life.
Right.
I mean, are you primarily a meat hunter that's trying to provide, good meat for your family? In which case, you'll probably want to focus more on moose. Moose, caribou, things you can go out and get that are either high yield or, fairly easy to get. Or, are you searching for an adventure? Are you trying to do something new? Are you trying to, get out places other people aren't going? In which case, you might look at, sheep or goat or something like that. That's a little bit less yield on meat, but, much more actually getting out there and really being in the elements.
Yeah. And not to say that you can't do that with moose hunting, because a lot of folks do that, but a lot of folks don't get that far out relatively speaking.
You wouldn't want to with a moose.
No.
Right.
But even if you're four-wheeling out somewhere, anywhere you can four-wheeler, somebody else can eventually get there.
Yeah.
Even if they don't know all your tricks and spots of the trail to get to, somebody else can get there.
Yep.
With a bigger, better machine, or a more capable rider, or whatever it may be.
Yep.
But a big part of making the most of your time off for a hunt in the fall, let's just say, is scouting ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
it's huge.
Making the most of that time off and being efficient. You don't want to take 2 weeks off and then go try a brand new spot that you've never been to before, and then find out that a mile into your trail where you wanted to get, there's a raging creek that you thought was a little trickle on the maps.
You only looked at it on onX.
Right.
Yeah.
But turns out it has 10-foot steep wall banks, and it's about a 15-foot deep slough that's just white water just ripping through there, and you ain't getting across there.
And, that's oftentimes why it takes people years to find their primary spots is because, it takes years of that scouting unless you just get lucky and, fall into one of these places. But typically, if you fall into one of those places, so did a lot of other people. Right. So,
I've done a lot of like Hail Mary 2 days plus a weekend hunts, either with you, Dalton, or with other guys. Just, call them up and say, hey, man, you want to take a couple days off? And I saw this hunt that was available, and it's at different days than the regular season. We were already had plans for.
Yeah.
You want to go hit this. And the problem with that is done no scouting. Maybe haven't even been in that area before.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Well, and arguably, that's probably how everybody starts.
It's where a lot of people go. And you know what? And I can tell you some really awesome places, great access, beautiful country. And there's no moose there.
Right.
Or caribou or whatever it is you're looking for.
Yeah.
Like, and spent a tremendous amount of time looking and finding what looks like amazing spots.
Yeah.
But it's just not the right country. Yeah. And it was really, I wouldn't say it was a waste of time, but if I had, I was thinking about that same hunt in the springtime because I had that's when I was looking at the regs, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Called my buddy up a week before we went out and said, hey, let's go do this.
Yeah.
If I had at some point, and at that time in my life, I had the time, took a weekend because that's all it takes to scout is a weekend.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Depending on where you're going.
1 or 2 days, maybe 3. If you're scouting a sheep spot, usually it's a little bit longer, but anything else, you can usually hit fairly quickly.
Right.
And get, either talk to people. If you're flying in, talk to people who have been there. If you're not flying in, ride, hike, whatever you got to do, and look. See what's there.
Yeah. And that's huge. I mean, honestly, because if it's good, you're going to know it's good. And then you have something to look forward to. But if it's bad, you just saved yourself a failed hunt.
Right.
Because now it's bad, you can look on to the next place.
Well,
and it doesn't even have to be a different hunt. Like you said, I mean, there's units in Alaska that, have, special seasons outside of the normal, and you can still look within that unit, just maybe a different part of the unit.
Right.
Maybe that, this valley looks great on onX, but it's not. Once I got there, it's beautiful, but the moose don't seem to like it.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Yeah.
And that'll save you tons of time and honestly, tons of heartbreak.
Yeah. I mean, I had a great time. Spent a lot more time in the woods. Like I did 1 year, I found like 2 or 3 more hunts and hunted my normal moose season. My normal 2-week hunt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hunted a hunt beforehand and I got back to town and called up a kid that I knew, would have time to go and was like, hey man, you want to go hunting? And we didn't see any moose in like 3 days.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And we were camping out there and covering a tremendous amount of country and wide open spaces type areas and saw, 3 tracks and heard 1 twig break that we think was a moose when I was calling one time. It's like, no wonder this place is open for 30 days, right?
Yeah.
Those places normally have,
there's a reason it's open for 30 days because there's not very many moose in there. It's hard to find them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or they're hard to get to where the moose are, right?
Right.
But, the big thing to take away from that is just plan around what you have. Find out what you have for first off, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's a true thing. If you work in some of these construction jobs, they might say you have 2 weeks vacation a year.
Yeah.
But when you ask to take that 2 weeks off in August
in
to go
time.
chase
or September,
sheep, or September, when the snow's around the corner and they're trying to finish up their project, or everything's in full swing and people are working 60 to 80 hours a week. And you want to go tromp around in the woods.
And we've all sacrificed hunts because of work before.
Your boss isn't always going to understand. And so you need to figure out, not only do you have the time, but is it going to compromise your life to take the time? And that's honestly, I mean, if it's important to you, you should prioritize your hunting, obviously. And I think that's a very big thing. And I've structured my life around a career and a passion where I can prioritize my hunting. Because of that, because I've worked those jobs where it's not a priority for the people in charge, and it's not a priority for you then, because now the person in charge, you know, you have to follow their priorities, and but that's a big thing, you know. And so not only figuring out your needs or your family's needs, but also your ability to get out there.
You know, this is going to sound crazy, but I was, I think, 18 at the time. I quit a job one time because I knew I wasn't going to get time off for moose season.
I remember that.
I recently did that.
But no, I just was like, you know, it was coming up, and I thought, you know what? The people I worked with wasn't bad, honestly.
Well, you're still friends with him.
I'm still friends with him. I see my boss, and he really no hard feelings, and he tried to get me to stay there. Like, can I pay him more money? I'm like, no, I want to do something else. And I did, and I ended up working for myself after that. But that time I did not sacrifice hunting for work. And then I started my own business and found that it is really hard to take the time to hunt when you've got all these jobs lined out. And there were definitely times while I was working for myself that I had that happen.
All right, folks, I want to take a second to tell you about a product I found this last year and have absolutely fallen in love with. It's the Stealthy Hunter rifle cover. I used one on a recent black-tailed deer hunt in southeast Alaska, and it did a great job of keeping the saltwater and debris out of the action and also protecting the scope on my rifle from getting knocked around and damaged. On top of all that, the carry handle made it easy to transport the rifle to and from the boat during the hunt. When it got wet from rain and ocean spray, I hung it up at camp to dry at night, and it was always dry in 20 minutes or less. Stealthy Hunter also offers a wide variety of nutritional supplements for the outdoorsman, such as CBD oils, essential vitamins, turmeric, and bone broth. In the gear shop, they also have a lightweight first aid kit, glassing pads, and stuff sacks to organize your gear and your pack. Go check out Stealthy Hunter's website and use the code TheNorthernHunter at checkout to get a discount on your order today. All Stealthy Hunter equipment is proudly made in the USA. I want to add something to this, and this is related, and it's a little bit of a tangent here. I have done dozens and dozens of hunts in Alaska since I was a teenager. And growing up and getting out on my own, and then getting married, and going through a lot of different changes in life, you know, as you move out of the house, and then as you get married and you get your own place and you establish your own life, and folks know what that's like. And if you don't, then you're in for more of a change than you think.
Strap in, young buck.
But anyway, I was going to say, a lot of people, they say, well, I can't take the time off right now because I don't have enough money, or I can't afford to go moose hunting, or I can't afford to bear bait, or I can't afford to go on a sheep hunt because I have to buy $300 pair of boots.
Right.
Here's what I have to say about that. Okay. I have been in those shoes many, many, many times where I'm going on a hunt and I look at my bank account and you know, right now, I'm not in that position.
Right.
I've become a lot more responsible. And but back in the day, years ago, I would go on a hunt and I'd look at my bank account and I would wonder, man, how am I going to pay for this? I mean, even just putting fuel in my four-wheeler in my truck.
Yeah.
And what if something breaks? I don't have enough money to get a tow truck to get me home.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to call somebody with a trailer to come down and get me. And nothing ever happened to that effect.
I remember those days, man.
Nothing ever happened to that effect But
you didn't get evicted. You didn't lose your truck. You didn't.
But
$15 in the truck, $5 in the wheeler, and it was enough for the.
You're thinking, man, I just got paid and I just blew it all on Beta 907 cents, dog food, a box of shells, and gas. And
because we were prioritizing dinner at the gas station.
You're literally at the gas pump going, all right, I prepaid $50.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put $41 in the truck, and then I'm going to put $9 in the four-wheeler. I'm not kidding you. You can't make this stuff up.
We've been there.
Mo and I have done this multiple times.
Yeah.
Well,
did do that multiple times. We do not do that.
Not anymore. Not anymore. And I'm saying this. This was a long time ago. But now, I don't remember what I was going through then.
Yeah.
I don't remember the hard times that I had. I don't think, man, I shouldn't have went out to that bear bait and gone out hunting that night because I only had
shouldn't have killed that bear.
I only had
exactly.
I only had $200 to my name at that time.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yep.
No way. But I absolutely remember sitting at that bear bait shooting a big bear.
Right.
Or I absolutely remember going on that caribou hunt and shooting some caribou.
Yep. Yeah.
Or going on that deer hunt, traveling to go on a deer hunt,
mm-hmm.
and not knowing how you were going to pay your bills when you got home because you spent it all on your trip.
I've literally spent my last dollar on a hunt.
Yeah.
Now, this all being said, your family is a higher priority.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think
absolutely.
As
if you're a married man that has a wife or wife, or woman, or a wife and kids that you've got to support, never put your family in a bad situation.
Right. Yeah. We're not saying that.
We're talking about our single free days where all we had to care about in the world was our pickup truck, our four-wheeler, and our rifle, and what we were going to use it to kill next.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And in those times when you have that freedom and you have that ability, Mo and I talk about this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We are slammed busy as it is. How did we find time to do as much as we did when we were teenagers together? Because Mo and I were literally all over this state hunting, all over the place, from one end to the other.
I was working 70-hour weeks, and I still somehow managed to spend like 30 hours a week in the woods, probably.
How much did that stock in Red Bull cost you?
Oh, man. Dude, Red Bull is the fuel of my life, and it has been since I moved back to Alaska. Yeah.
You know, and I'm going to bring in kind of an addition to that. Not the Red Bull thing, but you know, like what you were saying with
Red Bull gives you wings.
Like what you were saying with not remembering the financial hardships.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure everybody knows now, but you know, I was in the military, and that's how I got to Alaska. I got stationed at Fort Wainwright back in 2009. And when you're in the military, you get a very deep sense of mortality. You know, there's something about writing your own will when you're 19 years old that just sets it in stone that I'm not going to be around forever.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of lose that youthful immortality feeling. And that's kind of played into how I look at hunts and hunting. Yeah. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. But what I'm saying is you've got to look at how many moose seasons do you have left?
Yeah.
At best, if you are a 30-year-old man and you're planning, or woman, and you're planning on being out there
shout out
until you are, let's just say you're going to stay very fit and you're going to be hunting moose until you're 65.
Yeah.
You know,
a lot of guys do it.
A lot of guys do it. I know a lot of old timers that they're in their 60s and they go out there and kill moose every year.
Yep.
That's 35 moose. That's it.
Yeah.
Count it like that. You know, it's not a infinite number of moose seasons you get. It's not an infinite number of sheep seasons you get.
Right.
If you skip going on that sheep hunt this year because, well, I don't have all the right gear. And
I don't know if I can afford a new tent.
It.
Yeah.
You know, it's this.
Well, you can do like Dalton did, where he bought the new tents and stuff. I just went with all my old gear.
well, what I'm getting at is time is finite.
Yes.
And if you make it to 65, you'll get, you know, starting from 30.
Yeah.
You'll get 35 moose seasons. And that's if you make it to 65.
Yeah.
Who's to say you're not going to have a bad car crash in the wintertime,
Right.
in 3 years? Who's to say something's not going to happen that debilitates you for whatever reason and you're in a wheelchair?
Right.
There's not, it's not guaranteed. And like so many other things in life, when you understand that and you know it, that really helps bring the priority to light.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be 50 looking back saying, I could have had those other 14 moose if I just got my act together.
Yeah.
I want to be 50 looking at a wall full of moose racks. I want to be.
Life is a finite resource.
Yeah.
And this is a really good point, and I'm glad you brought this all up.
Mm-hmm.
All of our priorities are in this order, and I know this for a fact because we're all very good friends here, and we can speak freely about this. It's God, family, and the outdoors.
Yeah.
Yep.
As it should be.
That in that order.
Yeah.
And the finiteness of life, like you said, as you get older, you start to think about. We were talking before we started recording. Mo and I were talking about an old bear bait that we had that we didn't realize it was 5 years ago, and we were looking at pictures like it was last spring.
Right. Yeah.
5 years goes by like that.
Yep.
And someone put it to me this way. I know an individual who their parent, one of their parents passed away at an old age. They passed on, and they left this individual that I know a large life insurance policy.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what they did with the life insurance money? They went out and bought a brand new boat. They went out and bought a new rifle.
Yeah.
They paid off their house. They settled all their debts in.
Yeah.
And that person lives outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I said, man, you could have invested some of that. And he's not a young guy either.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what he told me? He said, Dalton, when I'm sitting in my deathbed or when I'm too old to go hunting, I'm not going to wish that I had more money in the bank.
Right.
My kids will take care of me, or I'll stay in a home somewhere. Said, I've got family and I've got good medical care that'll take care of me when I'm old and back in diapers.
That's exactly right.
He said, but I'm going to have these memories until my mind is gone.
Right.
And I'd rather have these memories and live a life of experiences than die with $1 million in the bank and knowing that, I'm providing my kids with money they didn't earn. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a good retirement and a financial plan.
Well, and again, that comes with family being up there on the
exactly.
priority.
But exactly. If you prioritize family, then you've already got that all set up.
Right.
But live a life focused on experiences. Don't live a life for monetary gain.
And I say that all the time. Experience is worth so much more than money.
You can't take it with you.
And you can't take the things it bought you with you either.
Right.
And in many cases, the things you bought you aren't going to make you as happy as you think they are.
Yeah.
That brand new truck, it's not going to make you happy.
Yep.
The new gun will.
The new gun will, especially all the stuff you kill with it.
Focus on experiences. And for all the things that we talk about with gear and all this new cutting edge stuff, I'm telling you, if you're a fella that lives in Alaska or anywhere that wants to hunt Alaska someday, don't let the cost of entry deter you.
Right.
If you can afford the proper equipment and the gear that we talk about on this show, then that's great. Knock yourself out and buy it all.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, then that's great. And there's nothing wrong with having the money to do that. But if you can't afford it, don't let that stop you from getting outside.
Right.
Because you're still going to have experiences. You're still going to learn. You're still going to improve yourself. You're still going to walk away from that a better human being if you do it right.
Right.
You have a better understanding of what God intended the world to be, away from the concrete jungle of a city. There is something special about going out and being away from your smartphone for 2 weeks.
That is a huge thing, actually.
That bothered me so much when I got back into town this last fall after being gone for a couple of months. I don't even think I turned on my phone for quite a while. I mean, through that entire day. And my wife asked me, she said, well, how many emails have you gotten? Or how many phone calls do you have? And I said, I don't really care.
Yeah.
I'm not even concerned about it. And you don't realize how much time you spend on your phone every day until you don't for 2 weeks. And then you get back into town and you realize, oh yeah, I was going to pick up my phone just now, but you don't.
Ding,
right.
ding,
go do something.
ding.
Go do something productive. Read a book.
It's amazing what happens when you unplug.
Say even
for your mentality, for your even for just like your body's clock.
And I hate to use the word, but it's therapeutic. You come back.
Sure. Yeah.
You come back.
That's a great word.
Revived. You feel like you experienced something that lasts.
Yeah.
It's not this instantaneous, instant pleasure, scroll through an app and watch little short videos of stupid nonsense.
Yeah.
That completely deteriorates your attention span. Well, the world is a appease me now mentality.
Right.
It's such a short attention span. People can't grasp something with real depth to it anymore.
Yeah.
And that's a shame because that's what makes the greatest people that ever walked this earth the greatest people that have ever walked the earth.
Yeah.
Because they had a life of experiences and they lived a full and rich life. And the people that I know that have the most money are rarely people that live a full life. They're always wishing that they'd done something different. They have family problems because they prioritize their business over doing things with their family.
Right.
And hunting in the outdoors is a great way to spend time with your family.
Oh, it is.
And have time away from that society.
Yep.
Yeah.
Take your kids hunting.
Yeah.
Take your wife hunting.
Yeah.
Or take your husband hunting. That's how it is. Teach him to be a man. But spend time. But but like I said though, if you can incorporate two of those things in your life, family and the outdoors together,
it's an amazing combo.
You are gonna build a special relationship with them that you're not gonna have just sitting around the dinner
100%.
table at night.
Yeah.
If you even sit around the dinner table at night with your family, you would be shocked at the number of people that would tell you that they don't have dinner around the dinner table every night with their family. And the relationships in their family that have deteriorated compared to what they were raised in. If they were raised in a family in a household where they shared a dinner table at night, imagine doing that every night for 2 weeks around a campfire.
Right.
With no cell phones, no internet, no Instagram,
no TikTok,
no Facebook, no TikTok, no whatever other app is going to come out by the time this podcast come out, I'm sure.
Probably several.
Right.
But things that just pull you away and make you in your own little bubble,
right?
And you don't see the world around you. And anyway, I know that's a whole rant about things, but there is just something special
even just
about
the
it.
noise of town.
Yes.
It's amazing when I come back from long hunting trips.
Yeah.
And not anymore with where I live now, but I used to live more in town. And it was so hard to sleep.
Everything annoys me when I get back. Yeah.
I didn't realize how many dogs barking and couples arguing and horns honking and even just car doors opening and closing.
Yeah.
You're hearing, sirens down the way.
Ringtones are going off.
Ringtones. You got people walking around. It's so noisy in this world right now.
And even now, especially now that I have a family, when I go hunting, yes, I'm there to hunt and for the experience and all that, but when I don't kill something, there's a little bit more of a, man, I didn't put any meat in the freezer for my family.
Yeah.
And
a provision aspect.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of, if you go 3 times and you don't kill anything for 3 times, you might feel like it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
But
don't quit.
Yeah, don't quit. And kind of with what you were saying, it's not just about the kill. Once you've killed something,
yes,
it's phenomenal. It's awesome. It's amazing, the feeling and the experience and everything, right? The accomplishment, especially when you spent 3 or 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
When we went down to Southeast, and Dalton and I had gone on a trip quite a few years ago now, and pretty much zero success.
Yeah.
And then we had to work really hard for the first few days we were down there this last time. And by the time I got a chance to kill a deer, the feeling was phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
And then the deer were really moving, and I killed another one, a few hours later.
Right.
And it felt great.
Right.
But, it's...
You had to go through so much of an experience to get to that point that you really felt like you earned it. And you knew how to hunt that area. And I had given you places to go, and I had dropped you off and told you, walk this trail, hit this muskeg, climb this hill, call here, sit there.
Right.
So you'd done everything, and you had experienced that environment.
Seen tracks. I found it. I think I told you guys. I don't know if I talked about it on the podcast. I hiked a mountain and found a warm bed with it where a deer had jumped up. It was so thick, just couldn't see very far.
But you had to go through every weather climate. It was hot and sunny sometimes. It was cold and raining. It snowed. It was windy. It was calm. It was quiet. You went through every gambit of the weather down there before you even got a shot at a deer.
It kind of falls back to like my favorite Fred Bear quote.
Yeah.
A hunt based only on trophies taken falls far short of what the ultimate goal should be.
That's right.
And that's so true.
Dalton, you and I probably went on, when we were teenagers, we'd go, let's just say we did 20 good like hunting trips a year, which is a lot.
Yeah.
But like we went out in the woods way more times than that, but maybe we went on 20 hunting trips that were more than a day.
Yeah.
Let's just say where we maybe thought we had a good chance of killing something. And on 1 or 2 of those we might, especially when we were teenagers. And a lot of that was just getting experience.
Yep.
But we don't regret a minute of that.
Oh, not one.
And there was something I was going to say while you were talking. I had it all figured out about like spending time in the woods, even when you don't kill anything. But don't let that discourage you.
No.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a new hunter or looking to get into it. And our podcast is specifically for Alaska.
Yes.
But anywhere you are in the world that you can hunt.
Yeah.
Get the opportunity. If all you've got this spring is turkeys.
Yeah.
Guys say they're a ton of fun. Compared to bears, it doesn't seem that great to me.
In some states, you can get both.
But, if the opportunity comes for me to go turkey hunting one day, I will.
100%.
We'll plan a trip back to my home country.
Yeah. We'll have to do that. Dalton says he doesn't see how it could be like that great of a thing. It doesn't interest him to hunt a whitetail out of a tree stand.
Yeah. On the ground, different story. But tree stands don't appeal to me for whitetail hunting.
But that's because he's never done it.
Right.
If he's done it and been successful, or even just,
and
I worked really hard to kill my first deer.
I completely admit that it's because I haven't done it yet.
Right.
I don't know that it's going to be fun or not.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's going to be fun. And I'm not knocking it, not by any means.
Right.
We talked about this a couple episodes ago about not looking down on other types of hunting that are ethical and legal. I don't look down on tree stand hunters.
Yeah.
I don't judge them for their different style.
Mm-hmm.
I just personally don't think that I would enjoy it that much. But would I snub my nose and not even try it if it was offered? Absolutely not.
Right.
I'm going to go do it someday because I want to try it. It's something new.
So once you get your understanding of priorities correct, and once you get your mentality correct on getting out there just to do it, not necessarily focusing on just being successful. I mean, obviously you want to be successful.
Prioritize it above all else.
Let me add something to that real quick. What I said and what you're saying. Just because you don't have time to scout an area, if you do and you can take that weekend and do it, do it. But if you don't have time to do it, don't not hunt.
Yeah.
Still go.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you just, at that point, combine your hunting and scouting.
It turns into scouting / hunting.
You never know.
And you might be one of the lucky ones.
And you won't regret it.
Yep.
Right.
But once you get to that point of knowing what you want to go after, how you want to go after it, where you want to go after it, and maybe you're actually trying to figure that part out, understanding the seasons, the deadlines,
and when
is huge. Because just because you have limited time off doesn't mean you have limited opportunity.
Right.
There's a lot of places where either seasons overlap and you can go after both. There are some places where seasons overlap and you can't go after both. And so you need to pay attention to that too. We talked about that in the How to Hunt Alaska series.
Right.
But understanding how these seasons overlap and where you can go to be able to hunt for multiple species or be able to be in the same general area and split time between the two is huge.
Yeah.
And the regs do a great job of breaking that down for you if you dive into them.
Yeah.
And we do too. In our series on the How to Hunt Alaska, episode 1 and 2, we specifically cover the seasons and how to read the regs.
Yeah. Yeah. It's if you're looking for the breakdown, maybe you're looking at the regs book and you're a little overwhelmed because it's easy. I mean, it's a very long book. Go check out those episodes if you haven't already, if you haven't heard them. And we break it down really, really in depth in those ones.
Let me throw back real quick. I said download maps. Download the reg book.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so Fish and Game has an app now that you can download.
That and I have had nothing but errors with so far.
Really?
Yeah.
I've had nothing but success with it. Now, a lot of features don't work.
Yeah, because they're still Apple and Android comparison.
Because
let me have it may not have anything to do with that. I don't know.
I'm just giving.
So I don't use it for anything other than reading.
I was
the regs.
just trying to get the regs on it, and I couldn't get it to do anything but download and open. And anything I tried to do, it said can't connect to server. So
now, what I find annoying is it doesn't have the trapping regs in there. At least not on my version.
Really?
I might need to update it. I don't know if they've added that since then. But at the point in time when I downloaded the app, it did not have the trapping regs in it. It was just the big game regs. But for accessing them offline, it's worked flawlessly.
Well,
you can also download a PDF.
You can download the PDF very easily off the website. If you just click on the link to the PDF on your phone, it'll download to your phone.
Exactly.
And you just go into like documents or something to find that. If you have a hard time with technology, find a grandchild that can help you find it. or child, sorry.
Wow, that was a deep
or a friend, Dalton.
Yeah.
But the essential part to that one is just look at multi-use hunts if you're limited on your time. Look at areas you can go after caribou and moose in the same spot. Look at areas you can go after sheep and caribou in the same spot. Look at places you can go after, I don't know, deer and bear.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many multi-species areas in Alaska that you can really get out there and chase.
Yeah.
Yeah, these days when I'm looking at a hunt, I'm looking at not only, maybe I have a target animal, but is there 2 or 3 animals I can add as like if I see an opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It used to be, and the reason I say download the regs is because I might be out somewhere and be hunting, say, moose.
Right.
And then go, what are the caribou regs around here? Right?
Yep.
What's because I've seen caribou, like, can I kill caribou?
And as long as you have the appropriate tags with you.
Right. If I have the tags, or maybe I just want to know what the caribou regs are for next year.
Right.
So I can get the tags, right?
Yep. Preemptive scouting.
But anyway, look it up ahead of time when you're planning your hunt, but get the regs downloaded along with the maps because that way when you're in the field and you're going, oh boy, I don't remember what I read, right?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't hurt to have a refresher.
Yeah.
In a lot of those areas where a river, you might cross a river or a creek, and that's a boundary for a 5-day difference in a hunt. Or whether you can hunt anything at all across that. Yeah. Right. Anyway.
I know people that have done that. They just shot, I think it was a black bear, but they shot it just on the wrong side of the ridge.
It's all it takes.
Yep.
And I'm sure we touched on it. I don't remember specifically, but there are areas. I'll just start with moose.
Yeah.
There's special bow hunts you can go on. There are seasons that last until the 15th of September, and there's seasons that last until the 30th of September. There's seasons that start as early as the 25th of August. Right. There's seasons that extend later into the fall.
There's special seasons.
There's special seasons. Maybe you live in an area, and I think we talked in depth about special use areas. And things like that. And you can get 1 week moose hunts here and there, or a winter moose hunt here and there.
Yeah.
And knowing that and looking at that is a huge part of your planning, because you can kind of, if you're willing to go to these places and get the proper tags and the proper permits, look at registration hunts. You're not just stuck with the regular harvest tickets in most cases.
Right.
And obviously, this should probably go without saying, but if you drew a tag, that's your priority, brother.
Yeah.
That's
if it's a good draw.
If it's a good draw.
There are some draw tags that are more of a, let's drive down there today on the weekend and see if anything pokes its head out.
Right.
But
when you're looking at these seasons, there are so many that you can overlap. And even if you can't overlap them, maybe you can break it up like you had said, 3 days or 4 days here, 3 days or 4 days here, if you have multiple good opportunity areas. And that's knowing that. And that's why it's important, I think, to have, like I said, your calendar over here, your regs book up, even if you have a physical paper regs book, and you're able to bounce back and forth. Don't just, at least for me, I don't like to fall back on just my memory and what I think I know.
Right.
Dive into both. Look at the dates, not only that you have available to you. Maybe you have an extra holiday off and there happens to be a season that falls on a holiday.
Yeah.
Well, there's a free day off for you.
Right.
So.
Right. There are a lot of areas in Alaska. Okay, I'll use, for instance, black bears.
Yeah.
Black bear doesn't close in a lot of the interior.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not true for the entire state.
No, it's not.
But in a lot of the state, there is no closed season on black bear.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with the exception of a few registration permit areas down around Prince William Sound and that part of the state is more regulated for trophy quality.
Right.
But if you're looking at an area that has no closed season for black bears, you should always have black bear tags on you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You should always
100%.
always have your hunting license. Don't overlook bringing important things.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Don't not bring your license, because that's a problem.
now one trick to that is, it's not recommended. I don't recommend this as your primary source, but you can provide a photo of your hunting license.
Right.
And I like to keep both. When I first get my hunting license, I'll take a photo of it.
Yep.
Now, throughout the year, you'll have to update that, because we're going to talk about dip netting and things like that a little bit here in a minute. But as you're fishing, especially deep sea fishing, say for halibut or something like that, you have to actually write down on your license when you get a fish. Mm-hmm. And so as the season progresses, you're obviously going to want to update the picture, because you don't want to show them a picture of a blank one. And then they ask why the record shows you have this and it's not.
Right.
But what that provides you is a good backup.
Yeah.
You know, if you have, let's just say you had it in your wallet and you left your wallet in camp because you're 15 miles out in the middle of nowhere, and why would you carry your wallet with you?
Yeah.
Because it's got your license in it.
Well, right. But, if that was your mindset in the morning time and you just didn't grab your wallet and suddenly you're getting rolled up on, at least you have a photo of it.
Right.
So it's kind of a redundancy thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, I was going to mention black bear is a common one that's found in a lot of different units as an overlap species.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of areas where grizzly is also open during a lot of the fall. Most areas, I think, are open in September.
A lot of areas are open to wolf.
With the exception of some of the coastal hunts, a lot of the brown bear hunts don't start until September and October in that time frame.
Right.
But there are units that you can get moose, caribou, black bear, grizzly bear, and even a sheep tag as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have, I like to call it an Alaskan safari, because you can go out into a really good area that might have a bunch of different animals, and you've got a pocket full of tags and a box full of ammo, and whatever comes out that's legal to shoot, you can take it.
Yep.
Those are my favorite kind of hunts, man.
I love those ones.
When you have multiple species opportunities, you never know. You can just wake up every day and, what is nature going to send me today?
Right, yeah.
And you just strap on your boots and you head out for your walk or start riding for the day and get out to a glass and knob. And as long as it's a legal species, you can shoot it.
Yeah.
And in some areas, it's a lot more of a wide availability than others. And so those are areas to look into as well. And again, that touches on maximizing your effectiveness of your time and being efficient in the areas that you hunt. And if you can hunt an area that has a lot of caribou, but also has a good moose population, you've got a better chance of bringing something home for the freezer than not.
Right.
Than if you just had a moose tag or just a caribou tag.
Right.
So anyway, just something to pay attention to.
Yeah. So once you figure these parts out, you know where you're going to go, you know what you're going to go after. The next biggest part of planning your season is making sure you have the logistics for your hunt lined up ahead of time. And depending on the hunt, that varies in importance. But for some of them, if you don't line it up ahead of time, and sometimes well ahead of time, it's not going to happen. Now, that is a very in-depth thing to go over, though. So we are actually going to talk about that in a whole nother episode here. But the important thing to remember is that make sure, one, your vehicle is maintained and up to date on all services. If you need transportation, get that figured out ahead of time, whether it's a plane, a boat, transporter, a guide, anything like that. Those services are going to be not only costly, so you'll want to make sure you budget for it, but also very busy.
Yeah.
And when you're getting your hopes up for a hunt and you really the last thing you want to do is call for a transport and realize they're booked out until
3 years.
3 years from now.
Bummer.
So do that in your actual planning phase.
Right.
Do that well ahead of time.
Right.
But there are several hunts you can go on that don't require hardly any logistics.
Yeah.
Right.
Bear baiting for one.
Yeah.
There's hardly anything you really need to know there except for where to go
Yeah.
and how you're going to get there.
Yeah.
Moose hunting, kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Unless you're trying to get to these crazy far out areas.
I would say that if you're going to use any kind of a transport service, you need to be calling them 2 years in advance.
Right.
At least.
That is standard operating procedure for a lot of these transporters in Alaska, especially with the little bush plane flights that you got to take for, say, a sheep hunt.
Yep.
Or even a fly out moose hunt to get dropped off somewhere and then picked back up. These transporters, especially right now in this economy and in this time, for whatever reason, transporters are backed way out.
I'm sure a lot of it had to do with COVID regulations.
I'm sure a lot of guys postponed their hunts with the unknown of COVID and not knowing what was going to happen in Alaska.
Exactly. Travel restrictions, things like that.
And so a lot of folks postponed things, and maybe we'll see that kind of work itself out of the system here in the next 5 years or so.
Yep.
But it might not. There's also a lot of pilots that aren't flying anymore for transport services in Alaska.
Yeah.
The ecotourism industry is increasing. And that is just as lucrative for pilots, and they don't have to deal with meat and hunters.
And there's probably more volume over a shorter amount of time.
And you can do it. You can do it whenever. It doesn't matter what season it is.
Yeah.
Because, well, it's just tourism. They're not shooting anything.
Right.
So a lot of these pilots, I've talked to several that are getting out of flying transport flights for hunters because they can make more money flying ecotourists.
Yeah.
Right. And they don't get any blood on their airplane.
And airplanes are very expensive to maintain.
Yeah. So anyway, just book that well in advance.
Yeah. And we're going to go over I want to go over a really quick breakdown of how I view the seasons and the priorities and how you can fit in however you want to from there.
Yeah.
And there's one last section of your planning that we're going to go over.
Okay.
So when you're looking at your year, obviously, you've probably, hopefully, been doing some predator hunting through the winter, but that doesn't really take a super high amount of planning. The biggest thing you need to plan for is bear baiting. That comes early in the year, April through June 30, April 15th through June 30. And you need to have all of your stuff ready ahead of time. If you need a tree stand, now's the time to order it.
Right.
If you need bait, start getting your dog food supply built up now.
When you walk in the middle of May looking for dog food,
it's not going to be there.
What's going to be there is it's going to be $100 for a 20-pound bag.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm exaggerating, but man, it hurts when you.
Yeah, you're not getting the old Roys at that point.
Good old Roy. Old Roy's killed a lot of black bears.
But cameras, things like that. Yes. Make sure you're getting those ahead of time.
Yeah.
Right after bear baiting, though, you have not only scouting, as we covered, but fishing.
Yeah.
We don't talk a whole lot about fishing on this show, at least not yet. We are going to start covering fishing a lot more, especially as we get closer to the season.
Yeah.
Right.
Fishing for a lot of people is a huge way to fill the freezer.
Absolutely.
And it is a fun trip to go on. Dip netting is a blast. You got deep sea fishing you can go on, charters. If you know somebody with a boat, you can get out there. The regs get a little weird when you're chartering versus being out there on a boat.
Right.
With the daily limits and things like that. They change it up depending on if you're using a commercial service. So make sure you're keeping track of that.
Yeah.
But you can pull tons of meat.
Yep.
And get it in the freezer that way. And that's something I think a lot of people don't really prioritize. And I know in past years I haven't. And that's one thing I'm changing this year is I will really want to prioritize getting a lot of fish in the freezer.
Yeah.
I want to limit out on salmon. I'm going to go down there for halibut and rockfish and heck, I'd love to go do crabbing, and throw out some shrimp pots if I can.
They've closed down a bunch of that crabbing. We'll see how that goes.
They have, yeah. It's hard to say what they're going to open. I don't even think they know yet, but that's kind of the next thing going on there. The runs for salmon kind of overlap with bear baiting, which is really the hardest part.
Yeah.
You get the runs coming through Chitina especially are going to be during June.
Yeah.
And June is the hot month for baits.
Yep.
That's when you've got...
June is when God gives us the bears.
Yeah, right. Exactly. If you get one before then, you're very lucky.
Right.
But that's when they're really hitting hard. They're all moving. They're all awake. They're all coming around. The moose calves have dropped.
Yeah.
Things like that.
My salmon fishing this year, which my family, my parents, they go down every year, and I used to go with them. And then, I got married and was building a house and all that kind of stuff we mentioned at the beginning of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
But this year I really want to do that. But it is the end of June. It's in the middle of baiting season,
right?
Or at the end of baiting season.
That's the primary reason that I don't go make a priority of salmon, because I'd rather kill big bears.
And that falls back to the priority thing.
Right. Right. Now my plan this year, if I've killed bears,
mm-hmm.
now that's a trip that's pretty much already set up. I just got to say, hey, mind if I don't come along? And he'll be glad to have the help, right? And hopefully, we'll be able to catch more fish and all that kind of stuff. And, but yeah, for me, like bear baiting is going to take priority.
Yeah.
And if I've killed some bears, I'll gladly go down. If I haven't killed bears and for whatever reason my baits are not turning anything up, well, then I'll probably go down, because guess what? I need the meat.
Right.
But anyway.
Yeah. And that's a big thing I've struggled with in the past. And it's something I'm trying to change this year.
Right.
I'm hoping I can pull. The baits have been looking better and better every year. And I'm really hoping to be able to pull at least my portion.
Right.
Where I can then send the wife to the bait and I'll go fish. But, bring me back a big one, baby.
Yeah.
But that's a huge thing to put in there. If you are not a fisherman and you're not trying to get out there and provide that meat for your family, by all means, stay at the bear bait. We highly recommend that.
Yeah.
And spend your July out there scouting, as we talked about. Now, after July, things really start to ramp up.
Yeah.
In August, you've got sheep that opens up.
Yeah.
You've got
August 10th. Sheep
10th
opens up.
I believe August 10th is majority of caribou as well in the state.
Yeah.
So you can start going after those ones. And this is why you need to be planning this out ahead of time. June 30th comes quick.
Oh, yeah.
Every year I set the bait out and I cannot believe I blink and I'm tearing it back down again.
Yeah.
And then I blink again and caribou's open.
Yeah.
And it is very hard to stay on top of it. But August, you've got sheep and caribou at least.
Black-tailed deer opens up August 1st in a lot of places down in Southeast.
Yep.
Yeah.
Am I forgetting any more that you know?
The big
wolves
ones
are open in August in a lot of places.
In a lot of places, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Wolves.
And please, wolves while you're out hunting.
Yes.
If it's legal to shoot them, kill them.
And I believe in August, a bunch of grizzly opens back up as well. Is that correct?
A lot of areas,
Not in every
grizzlies
area,
opens back up in August. Some areas it's the 5th. Some areas it's even like July 25th.
Some areas it's the 15th. In some areas it's in September.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know some areas are.
Yes. For instance, our home subunit of 20B doesn't reopen for grizzly bears until September 1st, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I do not approve of that. But,
So-
what do I know?
On the wolf thing, real quick.
Yeah.
You don't really plan a wolf hunt, at least not around the rest of these, unless you know a really good spot where there's a lot of wolves and
Sure.
you've got the time on the weekend or whatever. But a wolf is a big game animal.
Mhm.
It's not just a small little fur bearer that you may not think anything of taking.
Right.
If you kill a big enough wolf, and I have a wolf that I've shot that if I ever actually get online and do the stuff, it'll be in the SCI record book. It was very big. It met the standard for the gold and all that kind of stuff, and whatever that means. But it's a big game animal, and it's totally eligible for the record books. It's not like you're just shooting something and throwing it away.
It ain't
you've
like
got a beautiful
a coyote.
No, it's not. Although coyotes aren't the worst thing to shoot either.
No.
But
Yeah.
No.
anyhow, I just wanted to throw that out there.
I think that predator hunting in general, talking about predators that hunt big game.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about wolves. We're talking about bears
Right.
in Alaska. Black bears, grizzly bears, brown bears, wolves. Okay. If that season's open and you're not specifically targeting bears or wolves, and you see a bear or a wolf, As long as it's illegal within season limits, and as long as it doesn't have cubs if it's a bear, man, open up, shoot it.
It's an opportunistic kind of thing.
People love to talk about, well, our ungulate population in Alaska has dwindled greatly, and we don't have the resources that we used to have. Well, we're not killing wolves with hand grenade cyanide bombs now anyway.
Not anymore.
We're not gunning down wolf packs from airplanes like we used to.
Do we know anything about like wolves numbers today and 40 years ago?
No, but that's a good idea for the next episode.
That's a really good idea
available
to touch
information.
On that.
Yeah, we can definitely bring that up.
But people love to talk about how, the sheep are having a hard time. And the sheep is a bad example because a lot of that has to do with the winters.
There's a lot of contributing factors.
And not to say that doesn't have anything to do with the caribou and moose either, but there is a whole lot that we can be doing as outdoorsmen to help them out. You figure if you shoot a wolf, how many moose are you saving? How many caribou are you saving?
Yeah.
If you shoot a grizzly bear that's really good at killing moose, how many moose?
Yeah.
How many more moose would that bear have killed in his remaining years?
Well, and again, people look at the stats of, well, a wolf can eat this many caribou in a year. Yeah. It doesn't mean that's how many caribou it's going to kill in a year.
No. Yeah.
Predators like wolves, and I know we've said that cats do this as well.
Yeah.
You got the mountain lions and things. They will kill for sport.
Absolutely.
They will kill just to train their young how to kill.
They just kill to
and
kill.
They'll leave them lay.
Yeah.
They might come back to them and try to gnaw on them.
Yeah.
Right.
But they will go out there and kill as many caribou as they can get their teeth into.
I'm not saying that I'm for the idea that there shouldn't be any predators, because there needs to be a balance of predator and prey management.
And that's the word you used is balance, and that's
hunters are predators.
Mm-hmm.
And it is impossible and it is unreasonable for an outdoorsman to look at Alaska or any state for that matter, and say, well, I don't understand why 50 years ago there was so many more animals to shoot up here, so many more moose, so many more caribou, so many more deer or sheep. But you haven't done your part to reduce the predator population to offset your increase of killing them. Okay?
And for those listening in the lower 48, the wolf population up here is not like it is down in the States. They're not endangered.
No.
The estimate, I'm just looking at it right now, the estimate is anywhere from 7,000 to 11,000 wolves.
11,000.
That's
a lot of wolves
in the state.
A lot of wolves.
It's a lot of wolves.
They're not endangered.
7,000 is a lot of wolves, but somewhere shooting the gap in between there is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That is a lot of dogs, man.
Well, I have taken 2 out of that population personally. But if every hunter, and I don't know, Dalton, you got one once, right? Or did that?
No, you've gotten a couple, I thought.
I've shot a couple.
Okay.
I helped you skin the one.
Yep, I've shot a couple.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if every hunter does that, it just takes 1 or 2 in their lifetime. Because wolves aren't easy. Even the ones that you find moose hunting, they're more of an animal of opportunity, because trying to hunt them can be very, very frustrating.
They're very intelligent
But just
animals.
to give a visual, and these are not hard and fast numbers.
Okay.
I'm not using real data, but let's just say that we're looking at 100 ungulates and 10 predators. If those 10 predators kill, I don't know, let's just say 30 ungulates per year, then that is balance. Because every year the ungulates reproduce at a 35% rate. So every year they replace and grow off of what they had the previous year.
Which is how it's designed.
That's how it's designed. That's what you said is balance. That way they don't overgraze. That way they don't get too few. They don't get too many. They can protect themselves. Anyway, all that on the table. If you introduce 10 hunters, well, now those 10 hunters are all trying to kill the same animals that those 10 predators are. And if you don't knock out a few of those predators to balance the predator effect on the ungulates, then you're amplifying the force upon these ungulates. And on top of that, then you're expecting the ungulates to survive these harsh winters and go through their normal swings of up and down. That's why these swings are so extreme.
Well,
because we shoot and shoot and shoot, and the bears and wolves eat and eat and eat. And then when the caribou crash, they really crack.
Well, and these predators aren't operating.
It takes a lot longer for them to come back than if they were maintained at a balanced level over time.
Well, and these predators aren't operating under management systems. They're not operating under a full curl or a 54 brow tine.
Yeah.
They are typically targeting, like, let's just use cow moose as an example.
Right.
Yeah.
They're late in the winter.
And calves.
A pregnant cow moose is an easy picking target because she's a lot larger than she normally is.
Yeah.
Not as nimble.
Yeah.
She's got a baby that is absorbing nutrients from her body, so she's having to eat more. And if it's a bad winter and there's not more, so now she's more lean. Now she's not as energized.
Right.
They're not going to go after the big bulls that are in good shape and can run. They're going after the cow that they can wear down and chase down, and she's going to get tired.
Yeah.
And now you not only lost that moose, but you lost the next moose as well. That's the way these animals operate. Grizzly bears, for instance, they're one of their favorite foods in the spring is moose calves.
Yeah.
They will wait until they drop and then run in and grab the calf and run off. There's videos of it. You can go see.
Absolutely.
And they're not taking out the big bulls that have already given their genetics to the environment. They're taking out the ones that are adding their genetics to the environment.
Yes. That's what I was just going to say, is it makes it even worse in that comparison, because we're shooting legal rams, legal bulls, males.
By design
to help grow the population and shoot out moose and caribou and rams that have already passed on their genetics and reproduced.
I think when we were talking about the sheep, it was like 8 years they had to breed before they reached full curl or something like that. Or not 8 years. It was 6 years or 6.5 years.
Because they reach breeding age if you shoot one at 8 years old. Because they are sexually mature
at
a year and a half, I think it
something
said?
Like that.
It was crazy young.
Yeah.
But those wolves are not just killing legal bulls and legal rams. They're killing cows and calves and multiples of everything.
Chances are they're not killing legal bulls and legal rams.
Right. And that's how the big bulls get to be big, because they get away.
Yep.
And they fight them off.
And they end up with this great big set of antlers.
Very deterring.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that I guess we went off on a little tangent there, but predators when you're hunting, man.
Absolutely.
Don't pass up on a legal bear or a wolf if it's, if you're on a moose hunt, and don't use the argument, well, I don't want to run any moose out of my area. If you leave that wolf alone, he's going to do all that for you. They ain't going to come back.
Yeah, he'll run 5 out of that area.
I have been hunting and watching moose for days.
Yeah.
Wolves will move through.
Yeah.
And I don't see another moose for 3 or 4 days.
Yep.
It can totally change your hunt. Now, if you shoot a wolf,
it can completely ruin your hunt.
And because you see it, well, shooting a wolf won't ruin your hunt.
No.
Right.
But allowing it to roam, especially if there's a pack of them working in there and they stay there for 2 or 3 days, man, you won't hear a moose grunt for nothing.
Now, if you shoot a
wolf, they'll
go
radio silent.
That can move that pack.
Yeah.
If one runs out to get, maybe you got another kill there or something, and they're going for scraps or whatever's going on. If you see a wolf and you can shoot it.
Mm-hmm.
That's both. I've killed both of mine, both moose hunting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Opportunistic.
It won't ruin your hunt. If anything, it'll make your future hunts better.
Yep.
And protect the species. Hey guys, if you've listened to the show for any amount of time, you've likely heard Dalton and I go back and forth about bullet construction and how I like rapid expanding bonded core bullets that leave massive wound channels. I've also stated I would never use a monolithic bullet. Well, I'm here to tell you about the company that finally changed my mind. Hammer Bullets produces what I would consider the most premium and best working monolithic bullets on the market today. These bullets are designed so that after penetrating the hide of an animal, the front half of the bullet explodes, shedding its petals and imparting massive damage to the vital areas while retaining the rear shank for maximum penetration, effectively closing the gap between lead core and monolithic construction. The guys at Hammer designed these bullets with 100% focus on how they perform once they reach their destination. But don't let that fool you. These bullets have amazing VCs and have specialized pressure grooves built in for amazing inherent accuracy. They have a minimum velocity rating of 1,800 feet per second, which allows for long-range shots but have no maximum velocity, making them perfect for every cartridge from your granddaddy's old 30-30 to the high-velocity rounds like the Weatherby 3378 without having to worry about your bullet failing. They've also recently partnered with Weatherby to provide factory ammunition for a multitude of cartridges. To view their expansive selection and find the perfect match for your hunting needs, go to hammerbullets.com to buy yours today and drop the hammer on your next adventure.
I think the last thing we should cover here before we wrap this one up, and this is arguably one of the most important things for planning your hunting year wherever you're at, but we're talking about especially with Alaska, is physical fitness.
Yes.
Physical fitness is talked about a lot today. There are a lot of folks that love to spend a lot of time in the gym, but unfortunately, a lot of those people aren't hunters. And you see a lot of people in the woods every single year, and you feel bad for their four-wheeler, squatting through the woods, pulling their fat butt down the trail. And that guy won't get up and walk a quarter mile to go shoot a caribou or a moose.
Right.
He won't shoot anything unless he can get his wheeler to it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with wanting to get motorized access because of difficulty. But
especially
if you can improve your chances of success by being in better physical shape, then you should do that.
I was going to say, especially if you have a physical condition where, let's say, you can't be in prime shape.
Right.
But it's just
that
if you're
being out of the equation.
If you're looking at your maps, planning your sheep hunt while eating a bag of Cheetos, I got news for you, man.
I mean, I've done that before, but
I mean,
depends on your metabolism.
Yeah.
Again, wait till 30.
But staying in good physical condition is not something that you can just you can't just expect your genetics to take over, even if you have a good metabolism. It doesn't mean that you being skinny means you're in shape.
Right.
I'm not a big guy, and I'm not a big muscle-bound guy either. And if I don't exercise ahead of hunting season and get my shoulders and my back and my core and my legs back in the rhythm of hiking around with a heavy pack all the time, then that first week of hunting, I mean, it pretty much sucks.
Yeah.
Even just throwing that bag of 50-pound bag of dog food on your back and if you're climbing through the Tussock or something.
Especially if you've got a bear bait that you've got to walk into and you've got a pack frame in your dog food. I mean, I buck up. I put on 2 bags at a time. 100 pounds, man.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to make 2 trips.
Right.
And sometimes I have to make 2 trips with 100 pounds of load anyway. But
that's when you know you got a good one.
Yeah, well, if you got to give them 200 pounds per trip, then you better be killing something on that one. But especially like for sheep hunting, I think fitness is. I think it's talked about to such an extent that people just get tired of hearing about it.
And there's all the crappy ads on
there
Facebook.
So
and
many companies.
Fake companies.
If you want to get fit, stop running on the treadmill.
Yeah.
Or stop running on your stair climber.
Don't eat eggs.
Yeah. And all these clickbaity type things.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you have to go get a gym membership. Take your pack, go to Lowe's or Home Depot and get a 60-pound bag of sand.
Yep.
Put that in a contractor bag, pro tip, and put that in your backpack. Strap that baby on and do lunges in your living room while you're watching a sports event or something.
Yeah.
Do lunges in your living room, do sit-ups, do push-ups with the pack on.
Yep.
Do crunches, do whatever you got to do. And then when it comes to this time of year in March and you have a sunny afternoon after you get off of work and it's above 0, put on a jacket, put on your hunting boots, strap on your pack, and go walk a mile or 2 or 3. I've been doing that, and it helps me tremendously to get me back in that rhythm of carrying a heavy load all the time while you're outside.
Yeah, that's one thing I've been trying to do as well, is because where I live, I'm kind of in the hills, and there's a boatload of trails out behind my house.
Right.
And just throwing a heavy pack on, gearing up. I mean, once you get half a mile down the trail, you're warm anyways, so it doesn't matter.
Since we're...
but you can practice those hikes, practice that marching.
Right.
It's the same. You fall back to what does the military do? When you're you're training to go overseas, you're rucking. And you will ruck march your butt off.
In the summertime, guys, in the summertime on the sidewalk over here, every day there's a group of guys going that way, and eventually they're coming back the other way. And I feel sorry for them.
And there's a reason for that.
I mean, I feel sorry for them, But then again, I'm outside in the sun burning, probably working just as hard as
That's the whole.
they're walking. When I'm moving out there, I'm running most of the time.
You also don't have a 70-pound pack on your back.
True. Honestly, most of the time, those guys don't have packs on. I don't know what they're doing.
Oh, really?
Sometimes they do, sometimes they
I
don't.
was going to say, ruck marching is like the whole reason my back's messed.
But anyway, staying in good physical shape is very important. We're not going to get into a whole lot of details about it right now.
Well, so one thing I do want to do.
Okay.
Is let's, and just because I want to touch on something.
But can I touch on something with the packs real quick, since we're talking about that?
Sure.
It's just real fast.
Yeah.
Can't say no.
Absolutely.
You can't say no now.
No, you can't. I asked nicely. I'm smiling.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so all I was going to say was, if you have your 60 pounds of gear you're taking on your sheep hunt or whatever you're doing, or go buy your bag of dog food.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is, it's a really good way to practice how you're going to pack your bag. Because trust me, if you pack your bag for the first time and even go on a couple day hunt, you're going to find it's not right.
Yeah.
And you don't like it. Figure out how you're packing your bag with your gear when you go to do your mile walk or your 10-mile walk or whatever you're going to do.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of hiking trails around here. You've got to done that with your pack, packed it, and just okay, I'm going on a hike. Sure, why not? Whatever.
Yeah.
Let me grab my bag. Anyway.
Yeah, and that falls back 100% to, I mean, I guess you could say train the way you fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to be out there wearing that pack and hiking.
Train how you fight how you train.
And, you're going to be heading 10 miles back in there. Don't let that be the first 10-mile hike you've gone on with that pack.
Yeah, right. Right.
So one thing I want to do real quick is we'll go around the table and just kind of go into a brief overview of what we do that helps us with our hunts.
Okay.
The biggest thing I want to point out is cardio for me, but that's because I'm fat. I'm not actually
you're
that
not
fat, but compared to when I was your age, yeah. So cardio kind of gets overlooked, and when I say cardio, I'm not talking running. I'm not saying go on the treadmill and run. You can, that'll help build it, but the ability to control your breathing when you get in a labored situation, when you're 1 mile up the 3 mile uphill stretch you have to go up, or even just bear baiting.
Right.
If you're hauling a whole bear out of the woods because you don't want to gut it at the bait, or you are bringing in multiple bags of dog food and you're baited on an incline, and you have to get either up to the bait or you're hauling something out heavy to the truck. It's really easy to let your breathing get out of control.
Yeah.
You end up with the and when you get in that situation, you can't control your muscles for one. You're not getting enough actual oxygen to your muscles.
Yeah.
And so you get fatigued much faster. You're also the offside of that is you're not prepared when you don't have good cardio. If you have to run, you had mentioned in your moose story, you had to run to get to a good shooting spot. If you lay down prone,
I not only had to run, I had to run uphill through knee-high alders.
Right. All of which just adds to the amount of strain on the muscles. But when you get to, let's say you're in a situation like that.
Yeah.
If you get down behind your gun and you are heaving because you're out of breath, that's not a good situation to be in when you want to go take a nice, precise shot.
Right.
Yeah.
If you are walking into the bear bait or leaving the bear bait and you are heaving and you're breathing and just fighting to get that next breath of air,
right,
you're not aware of your surroundings. You're not paying attention to what's around you. All of that leads to just working on your cardio. Not only does it help with your endurance, you're able to get to the next place you're trying to get to, but you're also more in the moment. You can enjoy it. You don't feel like you're dying when you're trying to get out there.
Yeah.
But you're able to take a shot if you need to. You're able to be aware of what's around you. You're able to just be it'll be an all around better experience. And so that is one thing I think is very important to focus on as a first topic.
I agree. And with that, I mean, with the shooting thing, I mean, if you don't know that you can make a steady shot when you're out of breath, because there's any number of things, even if you're in good cardio shape, that can just all of a sudden you can be out of breath.
Yeah.
And do some practice. Run in circles with 100 pounds on your back till you're out of breath. Drop down and see how long it takes you to make a good shot.
I've seen guys do that at the range.
Yeah.
When I'm sitting at the Cushman range, I've seen guys that'll run all the way back to the tree line and then back.
I've never done that
times and then try to make a shot. And that's I applaud them.
still, like I mentioned earlier, I'm pretty young. I've at a place. Now, I haven't gone on a walk-in bear bait with Dalton recently, but I haven't gone on a walk-in bear bait in a long time where I haven't out. I may not try to show it off and I may walk behind them, but when they're stopping to take a break, I'm still ready to charge ahead.
Yeah.
I've never been to a place. Now, I work construction, and especially in the summertime, I am busting my butt in a lot of outdoor projects and stuff like that. So that probably has a lot to help keep my cardio up.
Right.
But, for me, a lot of the preparedness is the big thing for me, honestly, is making sure my wheeler's in good order. Like you mentioned, making sure my truck's in good order. Just running down gear lists. Bear bait's kind of like you said, the biggest thing that planning. For me, I like to get the... I just start going through, start collecting the stuff I'm taking. A list is all well and good, but if you think you know where it's at, I have, right now I've got a shed that I think I can find stuff in. It's like a lot of people's garages.
I'm kind of in the same boat.
And, I've got a crawl space, and I'm married now, and I'm very grateful for the fact that my wife at one point after we got married decided to go through a bunch of my old hunting stuff that I hadn't used in a long time. She actually found some mold in there. So that was bad. But, she went through it all, then washed it and folded it and packed it all away. And I love you, honey, but I've had a hard time finding things that I knew was in that orange bag. Now I don't want to make that sound like I'm ungrateful. I'm not. The stuff I use all the time and the good stuff, she's very careful about asking me about moving things.
But if you're going to make a code, help me decode it.
Well, and it's mostly that she's and more often than not, it's the fact that I thought I knew where something was.
Right.
And I'm like, I know it was in that orange bag. She's like, well, I put everything that was in there in those 3 totes. Yeah. Where it's neatly folded now, right?
Yeah.
And I can't find it. And then I find it under the seat in my truck or in a box in my shed, which means...
And it was never in the bag to begin with.
Exactly. So most of the time that's the case. So for me, the biggest thing is just finding the stuff I think I have.
Yeah.
Before
that's a good point. Yeah.
Before I head to the field. And
don't wait till the last minute to collect your items.
Because it might be a $100 item. It might be a couple $100 items. And for me, that's not necessarily a great big deal to grab right before I go on a hunt. But you never know what's going to come up, and it's a lot better just to know that you have it. And if you need to budget for it, whatever you need to do.
Well, and splitting it up, if you need, let's say, 10 new pieces of equipment,
right,
and they're $200 each, that's very low ball for the good hunting gear. But you can make it happen with some of the more affordable stuff, and I'll caveat off that in a second. But breaking it up, one piece of gear per payday is a lot less painful than realizing you need all 10 right before you leave.
And emptying your savings 2 days before you hit the field, and then you have no experience with any of those items.
Right, yeah.
It's not great going into the field.
Yeah.
And I've walked into guys with the bear baits, and they're unpacking the camera from the plastic packaging at the store at the bear bait.
Wait, what? This thing didn't come with an SD card?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you were there with that guy, weren't you?
I have seen that happen. They don't include an SD card with this camera?
I'm like, they never do. What do you mean you don't have an SD card? What do you mean you don't have batteries?
Didn't you see the rack right next to the cameras that sold SD cards and double A's?
Real quick before Dalton chimes in on his, I want to say, as you're planning your hunt, if you realize that with the time off you're given and the budget you're allowed to use for it doesn't allow you to get the top quality gear and some of the stuff we recommend here, don't let that dissuade your plans. No. Again, life is finite. It's a lot better to be out there doing what you love, chasing what you want to chase with a maybe subpar but affordable piece of gear that will work, just maybe not as good as some other things, than it is to sit back and be like, well, I can't afford the KUIU, so I'm not going.
Two $70 cameras is a lot better than one $150 camera.
Yeah.
Yes.
Most of the time, if you get the right, there's some garbage ones
every time.
Oh, dude,
every time.
My first year, I got a 4-pack for $80. And
didn't work out so good.
I'm not gonna plug the name, but it was so horrible. They didn't even have timestamps. I was trying to judge when bears were there based on whether it was bright or dark outside.
That doesn't work very well.
That's a very broad spectrum.
I've for years, all I used, and it's nice sometimes because they're cheap, but Primos Proof, the number ones, and they make the 1, 2, and the 3. And the difference isn't much between them, and the price isn't that a lot either. But the Primos Proof is like $70. And we were just looking at pictures today of great quality pictures, super simple the way they set up.
Yeah.
And anyway, I'm not trying to necessarily say that's who you should buy, but all I'm trying to say is buying a camera that works. Do some research.
Yeah.
We've got Google and.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things we're going to say stay away from the forums for.
Right.
But when it comes to
so much.
When it comes to gear reviews, sometimes a forum's a great place to find it.
Yes. Right. And the stuff, even when it comes to clothing, even when it comes to backpacks, if you can't afford the $700 backpack, they have more affordable options that your shoulders might get a little more sore, and the pack board that costs $80 isn't going to carry a load of that moose's hind quarter as easy as a $250 pack board will. But it gets you out there. It gets you in the woods.
And halfway
that is more important.
Quality pack frame in a dry bag can get you a long way for a long time. And guess what? Your gear's dry. And that $700 pack may not even be waterproof, right?
Exactly. Yeah. But guess what? You get in the woods. You get to try the thing. Let's say you buy the good but affordable gear, and you go out bear baiting, and you just, for some reason that I can't understand, decide you don't like it. Well, then you didn't invest $600 in a tree stand and a bunch of money in clothing specifically for it, and you didn't invest a ton of money in cameras. I mean, cameras can get very expensive. And when you get to those higher tiers, there's a reason they're expensive.
At this point, and it might change this year, because I might want to be more comfortable. I have one comfortable stand, but I've never spent more than $50 on a tree stand. And that's because I have a bottom all used.
Oh, man, you got to get a Comfort King.
Get the Comfort
King.
You got to get one, bro.
I don't remember what brand it is. I have one extremely comfortable stand, but...
It's made by Primal, right?
Yeah.
Am I right on that? So it's made by Primal, and it is the most comfortable stand.
How much is it?
$150.
$150.
That's not bad at all.
No. I bought 2 of them last year.
It's huge.
From now on, if I'm sitting in a tree stand and it's not a Comfort King, then it's not me in the tree stand.
Well, and some of that falls back to, I've had this conversation with other people where if you're sitting in one of those little tiny stands that has a seat no wider than your butt, and you have to tuck your feet underneath you.
Or half the width of your butt.
Or half the width of your butt. And you have to tuck your feet underneath you because your platform is not very big, and then you can't really get a blind around you because you have no shooter's rail, or you can't build something properly, and so then you're having to sit there with your hands on your knees, and you're having to be completely still, and you got mosquitoes swarming your face, and there's just it's so nice.
I've killed bears off of those stands.
I know, and I'm not saying you can't.
That's all you can afford.
I'm not saying you can't. What I'm saying is the more comfortable you are,
the easier it is to fall asleep.
That's very true. Yeah. But the longer...
Sorry, I just couldn't help it.
The longer you're going to be able to sit.
Yeah.
And the more comfortable you're going to be, and so the longer you're going to want to sit.
Right.
The difference can be, are you 2 hours into a sit, and you're sitting there with... your bones are aching, and you just want to stretch your leg out, but you can't because you can't make the movement because you don't have your legs hidden, and there's just... or if you can be sitting there in a Comfort King, and you're leaned back a little bit, and you got a nice big platform for your feet, and you can kick your legs out. Again, I have long legs, so that's a big problem for me.
What I want to do for bear baiting, and not to go off into a huge tangent, but you know what I want?
We like tangents here. It's okay.
I know, and we're at the end of the podcast. I mean, it's only like 12 people still listening anyway. I'm joking, but I want a tree saddle. I've heard of guys sitting in those things for 12 hours without an issue, and especially for bow hunting, being able to swing and make those turns. I don't know. I want to give one a shot. I might try to do that this year.
I used to gaff telephone poles for a living, and I've used a setup similar to that, and it's not.
Yeah, but that wasn't.
I don't know.
Built for
I would be very, very hesitant to try that. But if you want to and bring a review, I'm all about that.
I'm definitely willing to try it for bow hunting. But I would rather sit on the ground for, if I don't really care what I shoot the bear with, bow or rifle, then I'd just as soon just shoot it with a rifle from the ground.
Right. I really like the idea for like walk-in hunts and stuff, especially walk-in baiting, like, hiking areas.
Yeah.
It looks like a really you can get them where you strap a platform to the tree that you stand on. You can lean up against a tree and stand there free for a little bit if you need to.
Right.
There's dozens and dozens of options, and they run from cheap to $1,000.
Well, we can go over a whole lot more about this in the bear baiting episodes we for sure have coming up. But so Dalton, as far as preparedness being physical fitness or anything else that might be like a top tier preparedness thing for you as you're going into your year.
For physical fitness, I would say the number one thing that I have found that has helped me out the most physically is actually not getting to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
It's got nothing to do with that. Like I said, I do pack training this time of year.
Yeah.
I strap on a backpack, whether it's one hunting pack that I use or another, it doesn't really matter. It's just about getting used to the weight again after a 6-month break of winter. And like I said, it's usually around that 60-pound range of a sandbag. Some days I'll double up and go 120 pounds for a couple of miles, and that's a workout, all right. But a big improvement that I have seen with my own stamina and endurance, and I can outwalk a good number of people. I'm tall, I got long legs. I'm always getting complained at by others around me. Well, you walk too fast.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about it.
It is what it is, man. I walk fast sometimes, but especially when I'm hunting. I'm on a mission. If I'm on a bear bait, I tend to leave people 30 yards behind me, and I have to stop and let them catch up because I don't want to be separated like that.
That used to be me and you, but you were the one getting left behind.
That was a long time ago. A lot's changed since then. But the thing that I have noticed that's made a big improvement for me, and I have noticed give me faster results for how quickly I can regain my stamina with hiking with a pack over the course of a couple of miles or more, is my breathing control. And I heard this somewhere else from someone that is big into the fitness world, and they recommended so for 10 seconds every minute while you're going, you hold your breath. And you hike 10 seconds and you count it off in your head. And then you breathe normally for 50, and then 10 seconds.
Are you talking about while you're actively hunting, or is this like a practice lead up to it?
No. This is while I'm training.
While you're training,
while I'm hiking with a heavy pack.
Yeah.
While I'm just going along. Don't slow down. Don't speed up.
Yep.
And then the next time you go out, or after 2 or 3 times of that, when you can get used to that, do it for 20 seconds.
Okay.
And go incrementally up like that. And right now, I'm at 40 seconds on.
And so what is that? That just trains your muscles to kind of like operate in that lower oxygen state?
The way that I understood it was that it helps you, it helps to train your body to operate efficiently with your oxygen transfer.
Right.
Now, I'm not a nutritionist. I don't understand all of that. That's the way I heard it explained. I could be wrong, but I believe that was the reason that they
I just never heard that, so I'm fascinated.
And I have noticed my heart rate staying at a very stable beats per minute after I've done that.
Or it'll even go up and then drop, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
But when I stop and I take nice, good breaths in and out, not all the way in and then all the way out, all the way to the top, all the way to the bottom, just normal breaths. Just control it. Control your breathing. Just breathe normally. Take deep breaths.
Yep.
My heart rate returns to normal much faster than it did when I was just going, like you said, just a mouth breather, just and you're just gassed. And then when you stop, you lean over on your poles and you're just done.
Yeah.
And you're only a mile into it.
Right.
But I have noticed with that breathing control, like I said, 10 seconds and 50 seconds of normal. And then 10 seconds holding it, 50 seconds normal.
Yeah.
Right now I'm doing it. And this is just, I've developed kind of my own, times that I try it for. I'm just experimenting with it. Like, how long can I go?
Yep.
And obviously be safe with it. Don't pass out with a pack on. And then tell
your
me
limit.
But right now I went from 1050 to 2040 to 3030.
Yeah.
And right now I'm at 4020.
Ooh.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
That's really, really hard for me. And maybe it shouldn't be. Maybe I'm just, maybe I'm not getting the right amount of transfer. And I'm not going breakneck speed.
Right.
And I don't do this until my heart rate is elevated.
Yeah.
When I'm probably a half mile in, and I'm not taking breaks either. I mean, I'm going at a nice steady clip.
Mm-hmm.
I'm walking a hiking trail or even a sidewalk just down the side of the road somewhere, and I'll do a couple of mile loop with that pack on. And I start that breathing exercise about a half mile in, and I don't do it the whole time. I'll do this for about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I'll just hike like normal and just take nice in and out breaths. But it's helped me a lot with controlling that breathing. So that if you do have to, whoa, there's a moose, and you stop and you pull up your rifle and take a shot, your breathing is already under control.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You're not, and the reticles is floating all
your
around
heart rate's
moose.
racing.
And people say, well, I can feel my heart rate. I can feel my heart in my chest, and I felt like my heart was going to leap out of my throat. I don't have that feeling when I stop. Anyway, just from a physical standpoint, that has helped me a lot recently.
So,
go for it.
James, what you said of cardio, what Dalton just described is one of the best ways you can train that while carrying your heavy pack.
Yeah. Well, and one kickoff I have is a little trick that I do that I developed back in the military days was I will, and this isn't a training thing, this is more of just a functionality thing. And if it works for you, great, try it out. But it works for me, is I pace my breathing off my left foot. So as I'm walking, as my left foot comes down, I breathe in, and then I extend my right foot out, move forward. And as my left foot comes back down again, I breathe out.
Yeah.
And then follow through. Every time my left foot hits the ground, I'm either breathing in
or
breathing
done the
out.
Exact same thing.
And so what that does is it kind of forces you, rather than getting that rapid breathing, it kind of forces you to hold the oxygen in a little bit longer, and it allows your body to, at least in my head, the way it works is it kind of allows your body to absorb more of that oxygen before you exhale.
Right.
And the cool thing with that little hack is that if you speed up your pace, well, then you speed up your breathing. But your breathing is still paced with your walking. And as you're walking slowly, you get to slow it down a little bit. And it kind of gives you a metric per se, that when you come around, you get to the top of that hill and you're just walking across the flat on the top. As you're walking slower, your breathing kind of naturally comes down instead of trying to force it back down.
Yeah.
And so that's worked for me. But if that's something people want to try out, that's,
something you might find when you're doing this training, and there's breathing things I've done. There's a box breath thing that I've heard it called a box breath, where you breathe in, you take a full breath, but take 4 seconds or something like that to take that full breath. Hold it for 4 seconds. Take 4 seconds to breathe it out. Hold breath out for 4 seconds.
Yes.
And doing that same thing. Kind of like you're doing the 10-20 or 10-30 or whatever you do, 10-40 or 20-40 like you're doing now. Kind of like that. It does the same thing. It controls your heart rate. And like I said, being able to do that, even just to get your heart rate under control, holding your breath, even if you haven't practiced any of this and you had to run and you need to get yourself under control quickly to take a shot or something, just holding your breath a little bit as you breathe it in and just trying to slow your breathing down and make more efficient use of the breaths you can get will help tremendously.
Right.
But
I have done both of those things that you guys just mentioned, and I've used them both with great effectiveness.
While you're doing all this,
go for it.
Okay. While you're doing all this, while you're getting sore, right? Because you're going to get sore.
Of course, you're training.
Stealthy Hunter has turmeric and CBD for your aching joints.
Yeah. I have been using
and a plethora of other things.
Yes.
Protein powder and turmeric that helps greatly with your joints and your muscle recovery, and CBD for your aches and pains.
Yeah.
And you can carry your rifle in your right or left hand while you're hiking with the Stealthy Hunter rifle cover. I mean, as long as you're not walking down the street of the city.
Right. But if you're on your sheep hunt and you're up in the rocks and you got your rifle on your backpack and you take a spill, when your rifle contacts the rocks, it's going to be a whole lot better off with a Stealthy Hunter rifle cover covering it and protecting it.
And when you sit down the glass, you can sit on their glassing pad.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when you take that spill and you scuff yourself, they have a medical kit.
The Backcountry Medical Kit.
And it's super light, only 14 ounces, and got what you need in there to pat yourself up, major or minor injuries.
And keep on going.
So talk about how our great listeners can get a hold of these products.
Well, there's 2 ways you can get there. My favorite way is to first go to thenorthernhunter.com and click on the banner that says Stealthy Hunter, and there's a bunch of their products. And right there displayed in, I believe I even have it in red, it says, use discount code TheNorthernHunter. No
all
caps,
lowercase.
no spaces. Yep. And you click on that banner, and it'll take you to their website. And then you can go to the shop, and you can add to cart the turmeric, add to cart everything that you think you might need for your hunt.
Yeah.
And type in the Northern Hunter. You'll get a discount. It'll help us out.
Yeah.
And which, by the way, running a good quality podcast costs a lot of money.
We're all twitching over here.
Yeah. I hope you like it.
Yeah. And also, on that sheep hunt, when you kill your sheep or when you kill your moose or when you kill your bear baiting this season,
you got to have a high quality knife to take it apart with.
Yeah.
And if you go to Yukon River Knives and use code The Northern Hunter, as we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, also, on your rifle that's got the Stealthy Hunter rifle cover on it, the sling should be a Yukon River Knives,
it should.
sling with the knife in the sheath on the. It's great. It's an awesome picture. It's right on the front of the shoulder.
Yeah.
So if your rifle's over your shoulder, you need to grab the knife. You can just reach up and slide it out.
And when you have your Stealthy Hunter rifle cover and your go anywhere knife and you've got all these things.
Yep.
What are you going to be taking into the bear bait to go after those bears?
I'm probably gonna I'm gonna add to the list because I just love it. Is the blueberry spray
From who?
From
Batum 907.
There you go.
Batum 907, baby. Born in Alaska for Alaskans and anyone who bear baits.
Yeah.
So go shop at Batum 907 and get your nasty boar before they sell out.
And your burns.
Bring in your bears this spring. It's right around the corner. Then, of course, shop Yukon River Knives to take your bear apart with. And, like we said earlier in the show, Yukon River Knives, Batum 907, and Stealthy Hunter are all great companies that we are happy to work with.
Run by great people.
Yep.
Yes. Very down-to-earth folks. They know what they've got, and they make high-quality products. And we would appreciate it if you guys would shop from them. Of course, from Yukon River and Stealthy using the discount code The Northern Hunter.
Yep.
We would appreciate that. And I think that's all I've got for this week, man.
All right. No final thoughts, Mo?
I got one final thing. This is going to be Mo's bonus segment this week.
Oh, man.
We're going to have like a little jingle for Mo's bonus segment.
We do.
After I mentioned that I couldn't get the app to work, I decided to pull my phone out with this big open screen.
Which app?
The ADFG. Alaska Department of Fish and Game app. And the problem I'd had is you got to sign into your Alaska account or something to use it. And it wouldn't work. Every time I'd click on any of the different options it gave me for sign in, it said no server unavailable, all that kind of nonsense. And I had tried it several times. Well, thinking about it now, I just tried it and it works. So hopefully they fix some of the issues they had. And actually, I think this is really cool. We talked about how you can have a picture of your license on your phone. And also part of that law, that's a new law that you can do that.
Yep.
And part of that is that you can have it in the app. And just logging into the My Alaska, which is connected to my hunting license and all that. Up came my current hunting license and all that kind of stuff. Boom, it pops up, tells me what I have. I believe you can even purchase some of your tags and stuff through here.
Well, it's supposed to show all the tags, and if you drew a tag, it'll be in there. If you got a registration tag, it should be in there.
So it's not showing that right now.
Mine doesn't either. I think that's something they're working on.
Because we didn't draw anything this year.
Well, but I imagine it should have your harvest tickets in here, right?
It should, but mine hasn't had that
Any
feature.
active tickets.
That may have a lot to do with just how we purchased them or something like that, or purchased them before the app came out. I don't know how all that works, but there's a thing for regulations. I have a question for you, James, concerning this. Is this downloaded regulations? Can I access these offline on this app?
Yes, you can download you can access those offline.
Okay.
That does not require.
Because I clicked on one and it took a while to load, and maybe it was just because it was the first time.
Yeah.
But
and one thing I like is the way that they break it down, because you don't have to scroll through the whole regs. You can go directly to Unit 20, directly to Unit
12. 20 is around the page 100. I just go there.
Well, right, but you don't even have to do that.
Yeah, I know.
And it also has like special units for bear or special regulations for bears.
I see
special general use, things like that. It breaks the regs book down into sections, and you can just jump right to where you need to go.
Yep.
So
cool.
You like it?
I do like it. It looks pretty sweet. I'm glad I finally got it working.
All right.
They have a map in here. Is this map worth anything?
Yeah, it's not.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't use it. But all right, guys. Well, if you like the show, make sure to give us a rating like Mo was talking about earlier. Like the show on whatever platform you're listening to it on, and share it with your friends, man. Get this out to as many people as you can. We're trying to help people, and we're having a lot of fun along the way. So
if you have any ideas for future content for the show, we'd love to help
let us know.
Continue our educational style. We've got a lot of feedback about folks that have learned a lot of things on the show.
Yeah.
So if you have something that you want to learn about specific to Alaska, or just things that you want to hear more about personally, that's fine too. Write us in at thenorthernhunter.com. Click our contact button.
It's right there at the top.
Email us, and we would be happy to get back with you.
Yep. Email is info@thenorthernhunter.com at thenorthernhunter.com. Yep. You can also hit us up on any of our socials. If you search at The Northern Hunter on Facebook or Instagram, you will get us directly.
So, like I said, if it's a good question that we feel we have a lot of things to offer on, we'll turn it into an episode.
Absolutely.
So it's all about educating and providing quality information about hunting in Alaska.
And anywhere that you can apply this information.
Yeah.
So it's actually funny. I had somebody I talked to about, I said, hey man, you like the podcast? Talking to me about it. Yeah, man, I like it. And I said, hey, if you have any questions, any thoughts that we could talk about, like, you got my number, text me, let me know, right? Yeah. We're looking for that stuff.
Yeah.
And I saw him a little while ago, and he was like, man, every time I've got a question or something I was going to text you about, you talk about it on the podcast. I was like, well, great. But
we cover too much.
And that's part of it. We're trying to help people to get out in the woods more, to be more successful. Mm-hmm. And so the more that you tell us what you're looking to learn, that just helps us achieve our mission. Yeah, so we really appreciate everything we hear, and we try to get to it all.
And don't worry, if you don't have anything that you want to hear about in particular, and you don't write us in, we're still going to have plenty of stuff to talk about.
Yep. Alaska's a big state, and there's a lot of stuff to cover.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, till next time, get out there, get after it, and good luck. We'll see you next year.
Shoot big guns, kill big bears.
Yeah. Have a good one.